Is that not the most insulting thing he could do?
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, May 3rd, 2015. Time for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 718.
This is No Agenda.
Your designated deities of doom are broadcasting live here at the Crackpot Condo in FEMA Region 6 in the capital of the Drone Star State, Austin, Tejas. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I've got ants in the studio, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Okay.
Ants!
Not the first time you've had this issue.
No, but for some reason, they're swarming the cowbell.
Here. Turn up the speakers for them.
Damn you, ants!
You know,
Did it help? Did it work?
No, they didn't. Ants can't hear, as far as I can tell.
Oh, that's interesting. They don't have ears?
Well, I mean, they can feel vibrations, obviously, but if you yell at ants and tell them to do stuff, they just refuse to answer.
They're very poor at following instructions.
I don't know what to do.
Hey, new month, John. New month.
Yep. Yesterday's May Day, International Workers' Day.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what else comes with
40 or 50 workers celebrated.
This is a very busy month.
Right.
Yeah, it's time again. We have presidential proclamations, and I thought we'd do a little rundown. If you're interested.
I'm always interested in this segment.
Yeah, no one does this. And you'd think that May is just, any month is just one, you get one cause for a month. Nothing could be further from the truth. We start with, actually, this was April 30th, where the president proclaimed May 1st, which I thought was just May Day, right?
Well, it's also May Day for kids. It's May, where you go around the maypole. Remember?
Yeah, May Day.
Should we do that?
May Day.
Yeah, May Day.
But the president just hijacked it and made May 1st Law Day USA.
Law Day USA.
Yeah, and you think, okay, this is something.
Was it Labor Law Day?
It's worse. I'll read the preamble from the President of the United States of America. Throughout the world, the rule of law is central to the promise of a safe, free, and just society. Respect for and adherence to the rule of law is the premise upon which the United States was founded, and it has been a cornerstone of my presidency. Yeah. America's commitment to...
That's a comic.
That is funny, isn't it? He should have put this in the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I would have gotten a laugh. America's commitment to this fundamental principle sustains our democracy, it guides our progress, helps to ensure all people receive fair treatment, and protects our government of, by, and for the people. So what do you think we are celebrating with that preamble on International Law Day? Law Day USA.
Law Day USA.
What would we be celebrating? What document?
We'd be celebrating the crackdown of the police of Baltimore.
Well, come on, he's not going to proclaim that. What document? If you hear about the rule of law, what document would you...
Oh, the U.S. Constitution. So obvious.
This Law Day, we celebrate a milestone in the extraordinary history of the rule of law by marking the 800th anniversary of the Magna Carta.
Oh, well, it goes back one.
Yeah, but...
Which has been thrown out by the British, by the way.
Well, here's what he says. Centuries ago, when kings, emperors, and warlords reigned over much of the world, it was this extraordinary document agreed to by the King of England in 1215 that first spelled out the rights and liberties of man. The ideals of the Magna Carta inspired America's forefathers to define and protect many of the rights expressed in our founding documents, which we cherish today. The Magna Carta provided a framework for constitutional democracies. It's really a celebration of the Magna Carta, which I find somewhat peculiar.
Yeah, it is peculiar.
I'm not sure why he would do that. I mean, didn't we walk away from all that? Didn't we say, hey, this shit doesn't work?
Well, the Magna Carta was never seen as it's just it was seen as a stepping stone.
Right.
To the Constitution. So I don't know why he's celebrating it. I mean, it's interesting more to the British than to the Americans. I don't even think they teach about it in the schools today. It's more likely they'd be talking about
selfies and stuff.
Selfies. How to do a selfie.
Okay, then we have
kids.
National Small Business Week. which speaks for itself. I'm sure there's some tax thing that they're promoting that we haven't figured out. Then we have Public Service Recognition Week. So we've gone beyond months. We've taken on weeks now. And this, of course, is in face of difficult challenges, public servants give new life to the values that bind our nation together. This is the government congratulating itself with a week. Then we have
just like Hollywood.
Very much so. Also, May 1st, not only is it no longer just May Day, no longer it is a Law Day USA. May 1st also, by proclamation by the President of the United States, has been deemed Loyalty Day.
Oh, something for those intelligence agencies.
Let's see. As Americans, we are united not by the circumstances of our birth.
Why don't they just call it Screw Snowden Day?
We believe firmly in the power of democracy and opportunity, but we know that these blessings are only what we make of them. And our experiment in self...
Shut up, slave.
and our experiment in self-government gives work and purpose to each new generation. Today, we recommit to the profoundly patriotic work of doing all we can to better the country we love. On Loyalty Day, we reaffirm the belief that loving this great nation requires more than just singing its praises or avoiding uncomfortable truths. It requires the willingness to speak out for what is right and to recognize that change depends on our actions, our attitudes, and the values we teach our children. And let us never forget America is exceptional because we each have the capacity to shape our own destiny and change the course of our union's history. That's right. That's exactly what we do. We are very loyal here on the No Agenda Show. We try very hard. Then I'll go kind of fast over this one. We have Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. It is National Foster Care Month, National Building Safety Month, National Physical Fitness and Sports Month. And I thought we had already had this, but it is officially National Mental Health Awareness Week.
How often are they going to do this?
No, this is
the guy who came up with this is insane.
There you go.
In the morning.
And then the last one, which of course I save for last. In America, every person who is willing to work hard and play by the rules should be able to build a life of opportunity and prosperity. We learned this simple truth from our oldest generation, the women and men who relentlessly pursued progress throughout the 20th century. Drivers of enormous change, they have enriched our nation and bravely defended the values we cherish. They have broken down barriers and blazed pathways for all who followed, and they have raised us all and endowed us with a freer, fairer, more equal world. That's right. We celebrate Older Americans Month.
Woo!
This is ageist.
I would say yes to that.
Older Americans Month. What constitutes older? When are you older?
Well, it depends. If you're 18 years old and looking at it, you'd probably think 45.
Right. I think
if you're 55 and looking at it, you're probably thinking 70, 75.
No, I got 80. It here. I figured it out. This year also marks the 50th anniversary of Medicare, Medicaid, and the Older Americans Act. Well, hold on a second.
The Older Americans Act.
We have an act.
Wow.
Hold on a second. I am only realizing this now. Let us consult the Book of Knowledge. Older Americans Act, according to the Book of Knowledge, which we have here.
Consult the Book of Knowledge.
This goes back to 1965, John. The first federal level initiative aimed at providing comprehensive services for older adults, like on-demand hookers who come to the house. It created the National Aging Network. Okay, here it is. Based primarily on the percentage of an area's population 60 and older. There you go. This is your month.
Help! What?
What?
Hands clapping, thumbs up.
All right. That's all. That's all I got for the proclamations. I always find that fun.
I was taken aback
by Older Americans Month.
No, by the kind of thing. I mean, this is just like you just brought it up. You brought it up, sexism.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so I'm watching, of all things, the Saturday morning MSNBC, and there's some woman, kind of a giddy black woman who's just a card reader. She admits it on the show.
I guess you're not participating in May Masturbation Month if you're watching MSNBC on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, I didn't hear the president's proclamation about that.
Okay.
Anyways, her name's Melissa or something.
Oh, Melissa Harris Perry?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's a dingbat. She talks funny. She's always, since she doesn't have any thoughts of her own, she reads from the prompter.
Yeah.
She modulates her voice in all kinds of crazy ways when she can.
I like watching her show because it irks me to no end.
Very irksome. So I have a couple of clips of her, and I didn't realize this, but tell me what you think's a little out of place here. This is the clip is named MSNBC Saturday Idiot Clip number 1.
New York Times. Bill, how crazy is it in Vegas right now as the world has been waiting on this fight that is finally going to happen?
First of all, Melissa, I got to tell you, I'm pressed on with you. When are you coming here? Come on.
Let me explain. That research comes from Kai Ma, who is a little tiny producer, but very invested in boxing.
That sounds like her show.
Yeah,
it sounds pretty much like
a little tiny producer. Then she holds her her fingers up like a
little pixie.
Thumb and forefinger about an inch. So I'm thinking, what kind of thing is to say this? This is, by the way, not the way to go with your producer.
No,
it's a little tiny midget or whatever she's trying to imply.
No, that's not good at all.
She's a sizist.
Yeah.
No, not to just drive home the point to prove she's a sizist, which is just disgusting if you think about it.
Yeah.
Play clip 2.
It really is. It is two warriors, two people in there together. But let me just say this. I outweigh both those guys. And so I'm a little bit, what I don't quite understand, if you can help me.
How's your jab?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would lose, but I just, why do we care about little guys fighting?
Well, because that's all we have right now.
Little guys.
Why do we care about little guys fighting? Screw little guys. I just thought this was abhorrent.
Did you watch the fight?
No, I didn't know. I wisely did not watch the fight. I mean, if there was somebody having a local fight party, which I didn't solicit, I would have gone to that and probably watched the fight. But it turned we're not going to belabor this, but I'll just say this. Floyd Mayweather, who is maybe one of the greatest boxers in the world, has developed his own unique kind of sideways boxing style that was also kind of adopted by Bernard Hopkins, who continues to win in his 40s, because this style is very difficult to box against. And it's also very difficult to make interesting. You're sideways, and you're mostly defensive and counterpunching. That's the way the fights are. They're boring.
Yeah. Yeah. I of course, I only heard about the fight today is unavoidable.
I don't blame Mayweather. He's like, this is his 48th victory.
Oh, I don't care.
I'm going to just say this.
Okay.
He's very smart. Why should he even take a chance on actually fighting?
I agree. You sent out a newsletter, which one of the first in a long time where I wasn't able to take a look at it before you published, but I was out. Sorry. At the Austin Old Pecan Street Fair.
I didn't talk about that.
No, you didn't talk about that at all. But what you had in the newsletter was something. It was like a challenge. You kind of threw down a little gauntlet.
I did?
You said, look at these signs, these professionally printed signs.
Oh, yes.
What are they all about? Now, you didn't actually answer the question, and it was...
No, I was teasing it.
What was the sign again? It said, stop the killing, I think?
Stop something. It was some... Yeah, I'd have to look at the newsletter.
And it was very professionally printed.
All from the 300-man march group.
Right. So exactly. So I looked at the sign, and then I had to find a different picture to zoom in on it, and I saw 300menmarch.com. I wanted to know who's behind this. If we have these signs, you're pointing out the signs. What is this 300 Men March? Do you have any idea?
I was hoping that what is going on right now is exactly what I'd planned.
Bull crap.
My master plan.
Bull crap. Bull crap.
No.
Okay. 300 Men March. So I go to the website. This is what I do on my Saturday nights.
My plan worked.
You're an evil bastard. Evil bastard, Dvorak. And this looks, at first, actually, it all looks kind of legit. A demonstration against violence. This is the number 300menmarch.com. We are a movement of men and women across the entire city of Baltimore, united to press the issue of everyday gun violence in our urban neighborhoods. We do not protest. We do not blame others. We are not a prayer group. We are citizens fed up with current accepted patterns of violence in our community. We exist to fulfill our mission. Our mission is to decrease gun violence. This is run by the CORE Community Center, according to their website here. And CORE is COR. And they're at 904 Washington Boulevard, Baltimore, Maryland. Website corecommunity.com. So that, of course, is the next place I went. CORE stands for Committed, Organized, Responsible. Okay, so I look at this and who we are, CORE Health Institute, a community health organization working alongside of schools, businesses, community organizations, healthcare professionals, and residents to train and encourage young people to live healthier lifestyles. And they have a gym and they have a big project. Actually, here's their impact. They say on their website, 600 children engaged, 200 volunteers engaged, 3,000 hours of physical activity, 12 years in operation. And from what I can understand, their idea is to build and operate community fitness centers and get the kids in there doing other stuff. And you see lots of videos of boxing and stuff and gym type things. And the kids all seem motivated. So who are these guys? So you go to Support CORE, and then we see we are a qualified 501c3 organization. All contributions in compliance with Section 501c3 are fully tax deductible. And then it says CORE Health Institute, Keys Development, Inc., DBA CORE Health Institute, because I want to find out who these guys are. In other words, the CORE Health Institute is just a name. They are an organization doing business as CORE Health Institute, and that is the Keys Development Incorporated. This is where things go a little strange.
And this is about the point where I gave up.
So I go to keycenters.org. Now, remember, they had a lot of people standing there with these signs, holding up these signs.
Oh, there was a tonnage. They must have given out 1,000 T-shirts and 1,000 signs at least. At least.
I encourage you to look at the people holding the signs and tell me what you think how they look. Because Key Development, Inc. takes us to keycenters.org. And this seems to be a drug rehabilitation corporation. And they say here on their website as well, which is keycenters.org, Key Development Center, Inc. is a 501c3 profit, accredited, licensed substance abuse prevention and treatment provider with over 14 years of experience. So but now we've gone from the 300 Men March to CORE to these guys. But here's the disturbing thing. Nowhere, well, that's not true. I found one entry, and they have their tax ID. Again, this is on the CORE site where they say we are doing business as CORE Health Initiative, but we're really Keys Development, Inc., and our tax ID is 83-0343052. So I go looking for that. They've been in operation since 2013. That's about right, the 12 years they talk about. Have never filed a Form 990. Ever. They're completely out of compliance. There's no information on this.
Are they nonprofit? Maybe they're just a company.
No, they're nonprofit. They gave me the tax ID, and this is the tax ID for Keys Development, Inc., and they have never filed a 990. They show zero income. They have no information. So what the hell is going on? And the only thing I can think of, which is probably a stretch, but I just can't. If you look at the people holding the signs, I'm thinking that these guys take people from their centers, people who are recovering addicts, and say, here, as part of the program today, hold this sign over here. You look at them, they all look pretty doped up.
Huh. Well, I didn't get that. That's good.
Well,
it's
a little.
I think you're still outside the onion core.
It's frustrating though, because
that was a rough one.
Now,
I was expecting it to go right to the World's Workers Party out in New York City. That would have
been nice, wouldn't it? Now, then I do
click, boom, World's Worker Party. There you are.
Well, here's the old school trick: is you take the address of this outfit, the Keys Development, Inc., and you just put that into the search engine. I did it into Google, and you see what else is there
in the building.
Right. So there is the CORE Instructors of CORE 300, which seems to be, this is for their gym that they're building. And this is all part of the same group. Motivation.
This is all a promotion for the gym.
I'm telling you, and seriously, if you look at the instructors, there's one guy, and he charges $150
That
per
guy's
hour.
all buffed. That buffed guy.
Are you looking at core300.com?
No, but I saw him a couple of times in the research.
Munir Bahar is his name.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, it costs $150 per hour in the gym or $200 per hour at your place of business.
Too high.
It's quite high. So it just appears that this is a gym, a gym connected to a recovery center. What else? There was a couple other. Oh yeah, there was one other thing, one other business listed at this address. The Neighborhood Service Center 7 of Baltimore, also located at 904 Washington Boulevard. And if you look at that, it takes you to the City of Baltimore website. So the City of Baltimore is in the same building as CORE. So it's who have no financial history, none. A lot of websites, and they got a big budget for building a new wing on the gym.
T-shirts.
Yeah, but there's nothing. Truly disturbing.
Yes.
Now,
I found that odd.
Yeah. So there are some other things about Baltimore that I wanted to run us through. One of our producers, anonymous in Odenton, I don't know if you received his email or not, but he saw some ulterior motives for what happened in Baltimore, and we need to start this off with the state's attorney, Marilyn Mosby, and she's new. She can best be described as a sorority girl. Yeah, who somehow
got this job.
And that's the part that I found interesting. Very young, 30, I think 34, 35 years old, young for this big job. And first, let's hear what she came out and said yesterday about what took place and what her thinking is on how to move forward.
The findings of our comprehensive, thorough, and independent investigation, coupled with the medical examiner's determination that Mr. Gray's death was a homicide, which we received today, has led us to believe that we have probable cause to file criminal charges. Lieutenant Rice, Officer Miller, and Officer Nero failed to establish probable cause for Mr. Gray's arrest, as no crime had been committed by Mr. Gray. Despite Mr. Gray's seriously deteriorating medical condition, no medical assistance was rendered or summoned for Mr. Gray at that time by any officer. Mr. Gray was rushed to the University of Maryland Shock Trauma, where he underwent surgery. On April 19, 2015, Mr. Gray succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced dead. The manner of death, deemed a homicide by the Maryland State Medical Examiner, is believed to be the result of a fatal injury that occurred while Mr. Gray was unrestrained by a seatbelt in the custody of the Baltimore Police Department wagon. I hope that as we move forward with this case, everyone will respect due process and refrain from doing anything that will jeopardize our ability to seek justice. To the people of Baltimore and the demonstrators across America, I heard your call for no justice, no peace. Your peace is sincerely needed as I work to deliver justice on behalf of this young man.
Now, I have the entire press briefing in the show notes, about 18 or 19 minutes, and she talks a lot about herself. How this is a big responsibility, and she comes from a very long line of police, law enforcement officers in her family. And so I started looking at what she's all about, and I stumbled upon this from, I think, a local Baltimore thing. Who is Marilyn Mosby? And something caught my ear.
Marilyn Mosby is still relatively new state's attorney in Baltimore. She is 35 years old and has been on the job for less than 4 months. The most compelling things about Marilyn Mosby are that she comes from a long line of Boston police officers. Both her mother and her grandfather were career Boston police. Marilyn Mosby is married to Baltimore council member Nick Mosby. Their relationship has become a point of controversy because the Fraternal Order of Police say it could create or has created a conflict of interest because he represents the area where Freddie Gray lived and was arrested. There are a number of other conflicts of interest that have been alleged. She has a relationship with Freddie Gray's family attorney, Billy Murphy, who gave her a $5,000, a substantial donation, when she was running for office.
Okay. this is news. Let's start with her husband. There's an obvious conflict of interest right there. But I went down the Judge William, known as Billy Murphy Jr. route. Man, this is not just any schmuck who shows up to be the family's attorney. Are you familiar with Billy Murphy?
No, you've got me there.
Oh, okay. And he, you can find him at, was it Murphy? What was the name of his law firm there? It's Murphy, Falcon, and Murphy.
And I would stop you here and remind people that if you watch the TV series The Wire, this sort of thing is revealed in great detail in the Baltimore area. This kind of crazy, long-established connections and
listen. Just let me read corruptions. Let me read you his bio, because this does lead straight down to what you're talking about. When the governor of Maryland sought an attorney to serve on the Judicial Appointments Committee, Governor Ehrlich, this is the guy. This is an important guy to remember. Called Judge Billy Murphy, an attorney who has won more cases in front of more judges in Maryland. A man respected and known across the state for his legal acuity and expertise in and outside of the courtroom. He graduated MIT with a BS in electrical engineering and then JD from University of Maryland School of Law. He practiced law for over 30 years, 3 years as a judge on the circuit court for Baltimore City. Making history comes naturally to Judge Murphy. He comes from one of the most distinguished African-American families in the country. His father, William H. Murphy Sr., was one of the first African-American judges in Maryland. His great-grandfather founded the Afro-American newspaper. His sister, Laura Murphy, top lobbyist for the American Civil Liberties Union, and she heads up their Washington, D.C. office. Successfully defended fight promoter Don King and Don King Productions. This is where I was like, yeah, bring in some crazy. This was the Southern District of New York State, in the United States versus Don King Productions. Currently represents Mr. King in his corporation and other matters, including Mike Tyson versus Don King, multi-million-dollar lawsuits, a member of the team of lawyers that sued Ernst & Young in the circuit court for Baltimore City. That was a $185 million settlement. Supreme Court cases he's done. So this is a big-ass lawyer guy. And
yeah, he's I would say part of a kind of a subculture in the United States very few people understand fully unless you're part of it, which is the black elites.
Yes. And
we have a president in that group, by the way.
Correct. Then here he is being interviewed on CNN. So we just get a little taste for him of the things he says. Now, remember that he made a $5,000 campaign donation to Marilyn Mosby, the new state's attorney who has been in for about 4 months.
Now, the city's chief prosecutor is investigating this, says that there's an investigation underway. Are you satisfied that the prosecutor will be able to come up with some real answers?
Well, we're enthusiastic about the new prosecutor. She's newly elected.
Yeah, you gave her $5,000. Of course you're enthusiastic.
And she comes to the office with a belief in the integrity of these kinds of investigations. We have much more confidence in her than we have in the police, because there's never been any level of confidence, nor should there be, in the police investigating themselves. So we await the outcome of that investigation. And, of course, we're doing our own investigation simultaneously as far as we can. We've already interviewed about a dozen witnesses at the scene, and we've seen the police or the citizen videos that have come out concerning what happened.
And so from your investigation, what do you believe happened?
Well, what we do know for sure is that he was in good health when the police first contacted him, and he died of an 80% severed spinal cord and 3 broken vertebrae in his neck.
Is that what doctors have told you?
Good.
Is that where are you getting that information, Mr. Murphy?
I love what he said. That's not good. I'm glad you caught that, because I was chuckling last night. I'll play that again. He got his neck was busted. And it's not good. It's not good.
But doctors have told you.
I wish he wouldn't have stepped on him, because it's funny. Here we go.
What do you believe happened?
Well, what we do know for sure is that he was in good health when the police first contacted him, and he died of an 80% severed spinal cord and 3 broken vertebrae in his neck.
Is that what doctors have told
that's
you?
not good.
Is that where are you getting that information?
No, that's not good. What would be good?
Information, Mr. Murphy.
A day wrecker, that is.
Okay.
I don't know what he means by in good shape, but everyone saw the video of him being dragged into the van. The guy wasn't moving.
He was probably dead by then almost.
We have our own sources.
Or as we say, not good.
At this point, we're not at liberty to expose
he's got his
those sources, but I'm confident that that information is reliable.
All right.
But until we see
the source, of course, is the state's attorney, who he has a relationship with, a financial relationship. He supported her. That's how he got it, because she has the copy, and so she gave it to him. I would just say that's a possibility.
autopsy report, and we await the outcome of the police investigation. And what I understand is a simultaneous investigation by the chief prosecutor of Baltimore. We'll know more about this. Now, bear in mind that Baltimore has a sorry history of police brutality, and an even sorrier history in terms of a governmental response to police brutality. Typically, the police deny, no matter what the facts are. And it is not unusual for them to promote the police officer even after he's been found guilty of brutality. We had one case, I handled this, where we got a $44 million verdict against a police officer who rammed my client into the brick wall at the back of his holding cell and paralyzed him from the neck down.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
That police officer was promoted to sergeant after the verdict against him. And the city refused to pay and made us appeal at every level. So we had to go to the Court of Special Appeals, the Court of Appeals. We won in all of the appellate courts, and still they wouldn't pay the verdict. So it's a sorry situation.
Now, he's saying this for a reason. Here's where this ulterior motive for Baltimore comes into play. As I read earlier, that he was a big supporter of Governor Ehrlich of Maryland, who ran against the guy that the president called out and warned during the White House Correspondents' Dinner. This was, I was like, whoa, hold on a second. This guy, this super powerful lawyer, he hated the governor was the guy running against Ehrlich to be governor. That he did a radio spot slamming the guy, and here's the president out of the blue, kind of at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, saying this:
"The trail hasn't been easy for my fellow Democrats either. Hillary kicked things off by going completely unrecognized at a Chipotle. Not to be outdone, Martin O'Malley kicked things off by going completely unrecognized at a Martin O'Malley campaign event."
So we were thinking, who's this Martin O'Malley? It completely went over my head. I had no idea. This was the guy who was governor of Maryland for a number of years, also mayor, I believe, of the city of Baltimore. And he was on deck kind of being mentioned as a very possible candidate to run against Hillary Clinton in the primary. And he came back. He was doing some paid speaking engagements in Europe, and he came back to see what was going on. But this guy is pretty much responsible under his watch for this huge corrupt mess in Baltimore with something they call humbles. So if you look at the cop wrong, then you get a humble, which means they just pick you up, they throw you in jail, and you can either say, you can sign something and get out, or you can wait for a judge. I mean, they were arresting thousands of people a day. This the entire city, and most like a lot of the state, is completely messed up. The entire police force is all just, and the administration, everything is completely effed. And this guy was responsible, and he comes back to walk the streets, and people are booing him and throwing stuff at him. So, completely showing his failed policies, now accentuated by the Baltimore, we'll call them riots. And then he shows up.
What's O'Malley doing now?
He was getting set to run to declare as a Democrat candidate for the 2016 election.
For what?
To run for president. Yes.
Oh, brother.
Yes. Hold on,
Your record.
This is Tapper with Now he's going on doing interviews with Jake over there at CNN.
Your record as mayor and governor includes millions more for public school, after-school programs, mentoring programs, intervention with at-risk youth, drug treatment. What do you say to conservatives who say this shows that liberal policies are failing urban America? Everything, this is a Democratic city in a Democratic state, everything that they want to do, they do here. And look at West Baltimore, it's still horrible.
Well, what I would say to them is beyond the tangible progress of nation-leading crime reductions, beyond the fact that we made our schools as a state the best in America for 5 years in a row, I think the real question or the real conclusion we draw from Baltimore, from Charleston, from Ferguson and other places is that America is failing America. We are failing to live up to the sort of people that we expect ourselves to be, that our grandparents expected us to be, and that our kids need for us to be.
Yeah, good luck. So,
well, wait, I'm still losing track of the narrative here.
Okay.
What's this guy's connection, who's a white Democrat, liberal, to the black lawyer that you're playing that long
when he was running for governor.
When he was running for governor, he lost to Hogan. Hogan, I think is his name.
Ehrlich.
No.
I don't think he lost to Ehrlich. But when he
the governor right now is Larry Hogan. Where did he come into play?
No, this is previous. This is not the most recent. This was. I'll find it for you right now. He left governorship. He was 8 years the mayor of Baltimore.
Okay, all right. There's an interim guy, Bob Ehrlich.
That's the guy.
Okay, so Ehrlich beat him,
and Billy was.
Well, this O'Malley guy's been out of the picture for a long time. Who's he kidding?
Well, Billy the kid there, Billy Murphy, endorsed and supported Robert Ehrlich in that race against
Hogan.
O'Malley.
Oh, okay.
And he and he hates O'Malley, and I have to say, I think
need a map.
Yeah, I think the Billy Murphy guy is, yes, African American elite, but I think he's on the up and up. I think he really intends to change. Now, of course, this is a huge power play, but he's in it. And then to have this connection between the prosecutor with a long history of,
well, if he's on the up and up, why is he supporting this douchebag?
He's not supporting. He's against O'Malley.
Oh, okay.
That's my point.
And he was for Ehrlich.
Yes. So it's his job to frustrate anything O'Malley does. It may be for true, honest reasons. They think this guy is a dick and he screwed up the entire state, city, etc. And therefore we're going to discredit him and make him look stupid and like an a-hole and make it all his fault, so he can't run, or he'll have problems running for to get the Democratic nomination.
All right. Well, that's a lost cause, so I don't think it's even worth this guy. This guy's not going anywhere.
I want us to keep our eye on this Billy Murphy guy.
And after the way Baltimore, in fact, I think the question was fine. It was like, what are you up to? I mean, your state that you were running and your city that you were running was just a mess.
Yeah, but
so
he
why
created
would
the mess.
Vote for you in a million years, and then the guy comes up. Oh well, we had good education numbers 5 years in a row.
So he's trying.
You can't prove that.
So he's trying to. I think his chances are ruined.
I think maybe the whole thing's about ruining that guy's chances.
This is a distinct possibility.
Now, when I talked about this in the newsletter, that the character from the governor of Ohio, unfortunately, I got Kucinich stuck in my head. It's Kosich or something like that. There's another guy we talked about on the show some time ago about how there was this event that took place in Ohio, which is really designed to keep this guy out of the picture. And I actually, in fact, and I watched this guy doing one of these little talk shows. Mm-hmm. And let me get his name.
Kasich?
Yeah, Kasich. So I saw him doing a talk show, or not a talk show, but that they do a breakfast call that the Christian Science Monitor does a breakfast. They show it on C-SPAN. Mm. So I'm watching this. Kasich is a massive projectile dick. And I'm going to use the word projectile because what I mean by that is that it's obvious to everyone he's a dick. He talks with his lips sticking out.
Oh no!
And he's glib, and he refuses to answer questions, and he makes snide remarks when someone asks him a decent question. And he is a massive a-hole. And if anybody thinks this guy, and he threw his hat in the ring this week along with Bernie Sanders. If anybody thinks that this guy's got a snowball's chance in hell, there's got to be something going on with campaign financing where you can collect a bunch of money and then keep it at the end of the day. I see no other reason that this idiot is running. And then we have, Chris Christie, who they also have to sync in advance. And so we have this. I have a clip for this one. This is Chris Christie's pal, which is, this doesn't cause problems for Christie's campaign, which he hasn't initiated, but he may not because of this.
In New Jersey, a former Port Authority official pleaded guilty to conspiracy today in a scandal over closing lanes on a major bridge. David Wildstein was an ally of Republican Governor Chris Christie. Wildstein said the closings were aimed at a mayor who refused to endorse Christie. 2 former aides to Christie are also under indictment, but the governor was not implicated today. He is a potential presidential candidate next year.
Hands clapping, thumbs up.
Nice. Yeah, but they're slapping everybody down.
So they're slapping them down left and right.
Yeah, it's good.
Which of course, you don't want the Scott Walker is like almost as though they've been trying to slap him down for years with all these, recalls and everything else, but they've been unsuccessful, which kind of frightens me because Walker could, if he was nominated, which I don't think the Republicans are going to do, because I'm in the camp that, the Republican Party and the Democrat Party both have their little checklist of who's up next. Right. It's like, playing baseball.
Yeah, whack-a-mole.
Who's up next? Okay, do we have to run John McCain? We have to run, Romney he can jump the line and he's okay, but I don't believe Scott Walker's in that league. But I don't know who they're going to run. If they run Jeb Bush, it'd be a laughing stock.
That's probably what they're going to do.
I know which is good because he'll lose.
Yeah,
and then we'll have a female president, either Hillary or Warren.
2 other items, two items about Baltimore. This is from NPR. This is the public radio system in these United States of Gitmo Nation. Explaining to us, and this was a Columbia University linguistics professor, explaining why the word thug, which now has to be referred to as the T word, is indeed synonymous.
Not on this show.
Synonymous with the N word, and just to make sure everyone knows, that's nigger. Which is, said within context, is of course racist within context, but not just. I don't understand why people who are in the journalist business, in the context of reporting on a story like this, still say N-word. It boggles my mind. We know you're not trying to be racist by saying it, but is it to protect the poor souls? It boggles my mind. So here is this Columbia linguistics professor explaining why it is indeed racist.
Well, I'll tell you. Wait, stop a second. You could make the same argument as to why journalists on broadcast or anyplace else don't say fuck. Well, there's a lot of reasons for it. Most of them cultural.
Is the word nigger verboten by the FCC? I don't think so. I do not think it is.
It's not on the schedule, it's beside the point. I don't believe there's a lot of words that people wouldn't say on the air that are not specifically on the FCC list, but I think they probably would put it on the list, or they would scold you for saying it.
Well, okay. If you're dissecting a word and you're talking about the word and you say fornication under consent of the king, and you have a conversation about this word and you explain the etymology.
By the way, there's no way fornication under consent. Okay, citizens. Okay, minions, you may now have sex.
All right,
who came up with that?
I don't know. Let's forget about it. It's not important. Let's listen to why the word thug is racist, because we should not be using this word anymore, John.
Well, the truth is that
stop right there. It's the truth. Science, fact, can't do anything. The truth is
that's a version of fact of the matter.
Yeah, but he's a professor. linguistics professor.
Professor say fact of the matter. I'd like to hear a linguistics professor say fact of the matter. Go on.
Who knows?
Well, the truth is that thug today is a nominally polite way of using the N-word. Many people suspect it, and they are correct. When somebody talks about thugs ruining a place, it is almost impossible today that they are referring to somebody with blonde hair. It is a sly way.
By the way, this is also such a racial comment. Black people, Black Americans don't have blonde hair. Bitch, have you ever seen Housewives of Atlanta?
Nicki Minaj.
Please, there's tons. I mean, that's just a stupid, unfactual bullshit line. But okay, this is.
You know what he means.
Of saying, there go those black people ruining things again. And so anybody who wonders whether thug is becoming the new N-word doesn't need to. It most certainly is.
Although if you think about it, I mean, in two of the pieces of tape that we played, we heard from an African-American mayor of Baltimore and an African-American president of the United States using that word.
Yep, and that is because, just like the N-word, we have another one of these strangely bifurcated words. Thug in the black community for about...
By the way, why does he say thug but not nigger? I don't understand. Isn't it...
I want to hear the rest of this because I have a thought on this.
Yeah, there's a follow-up to it too, but I'll let you in.
Yep, and that is because, just like the N-word, we have another one of these strangely bifurcated words. Thug in the black community for about the past 25 to 30 years has also meant ruffian, but there is a tinge of affection. A thug in black people's speech is somebody who is a ruffian, but in being a ruffian is displaying a healthy sort of countercultural initiative, displaying a kind of resilience in the face of racism, etc. Of course, nobody puts it that way, but that's the feeling. And so when black people say it, they don't mean what white people mean, and that's why I think Stephanie Rawlings Blake and Barack Obama saying it means something different from the white housewife wherever who says it.
No, this is bull crap.
Yeah.
Oh, they mean it's a thug in the black community means he's a
ruffian,
almost Robin Hood.
A ruffian. Yes,
Robin Hood's got good intentions.
But because I'm white, when I say thug, I mean, of course, nigger.
Okay, no, here's what I'm thinking, and take everything out of this. You're preoccupied with that. It's another way of pushing the community around linguistically, and you can't use thug. Does have a meaning. Thug means a big guy. Usually means a big punk jerk of some sort who's got no respect for the law and no respect for you. That's the way I would. And a ruffian would be the same thing, but no one's going to say, "Oh, these ruffians." It's a new word for ruffian. Mm-hmm. And it does have connotations, and maybe there are racial overtones, although I can think of Mexican thugs, although they might be called Mexican thugs, or black thugs, as you'd be black thugs, and there's white thugs. They do exist, and it's nonsense to think that they don't. I think it's an attempt to turn it to further generalize the notion that the blacks in the United States are they're hopeless. And so instead of saying, you can't use the N-word, you can't say thugs, so you have to use what to describe the people doing this damage? Blacks. Now you've taken it to the point where you can't even, as he used bifurcate, you can't even separate blacks in general from thugs. So but you can use blacks. Blacks is okay. And I'm noticing this trend. In fact, I got a couple of clips, but I want you to finish this first, which I think there's a movement afoot to really marginalize the black community to an extreme.
Well, big props, thug life. I think you nailed it. This is too narrow. Cut out any word that isn't just racial, really racial, like black. Oh, that's a astute observation. Here is the last little bit of him about white people versus black people.
Thug is an interesting word, and to the extent that we need to be able to hear it as more than some antique static dictionary definition, then I think that that's part of the process of healing as well. Black people saying thug is not like white people saying thug.
There you go. So you're correct. Narrowed it right down to one thing. White, black. That's it. We're different. They can say it. We can't say it. them can't say this, they can't say that. It's just furthering the... Okay, talk about your thinking.
Well, I think there's a movement afoot to marginalize the blacks more than Obama's managed to do. And, of course, they all have a smile on their face because Obama's the president, as he sticks the knife in. It's irony of ironies. But I got kind of triggered on this thinking by this Al Jazeera report on poverty in the brain.
Yes. All right.
Jake, what does the research tell us about that?
Well, Ray, it's really, I mean, when you look at the sheer number of horrors that poverty seems to inflict on children, it's hard to know where to begin. But the most sort of specific, tangible version, the kind of research that we really know affects the brain, has to do with how it affects the brain, specifically the development of white and gray matter, the hippocampus, the amygdala, some of the most important parts of the brain. One study in 2013 of St. Louis area preschoolers found that living in deep poverty caused their white and gray matter to not grow as fast as it needed to. That really facilitates communication in the brain. The hippocampus, which turns your short-term memories into long-term memories, that was stunted. And the amygdala, which deals with those memories and with emotions, all of those were stunted, which leads, in the long term, researchers believe, to cognitive disorders, antisocial behavior, and worse. So we're seeing true, tangible effects of living in poverty for children.
Put them in the FEMA camp.
That's exactly what I'm thinking here. The United States has been at the forefront of this sort of thing, this over-analysis of everything. We had it with the way they did time and motion studies in the 20s. Oh, you could produce more by moving your hand this way and putting people on the assembly line. We're the ones who invented eugenics for all practical purposes, and we're the ones who promoted everything that the Nazis actually put into place. It's all our ideas. And we're the ones who did
that's our American exceptionalism, John.
We do the forced sterilization experiments. Now we're looking for, it's as though we're designing a bunch of tests with it in mind that we can either take black people's children through because they got too many of them or whatever.
And they only become stupid when they're...
Because it's going to be bad for them because you can't be raised in this poverty environment. So let's get the kids out of the poverty environment and put everybody else in jail. And then and in other cases, some people are breeding too much. Let's slip this back in, see how far we get. You yourself always talk about how Planned Parenthood is really a front for eugenics.
Well, its legacy is Margaret Sanger, who ran the Eugenics Society of America, who, by fact, chemically castrated black males in California, thousands of them.
Yes, this is in play. It's never not been in play. I think they're winding up a pitch, and these riots are just falling right into this.
Yeah,
not to mention these horrible police, but they're just winding up a pitch. If I was black, I don't know how many blacks listen to the show, not as many as we'd like to have, but if I was black, I'd be very concerned about all this, all of it. It's very suspect. And the black elites, of course, don't have a problem with any of it.
Well, here's Billy Murphy. I found he was doing it was like in a basement, some kind of underground seminar where he's talking very differently than what he's talking about with Jake Tapper there. And you tell me if you can. I left a little padding in the front so you can get used to the acoustics and see if you can hear what he's saying. What he's talking about is the incarceration. And this is it's like a secret meeting, and it's just filmed with a cell phone, a smartphone. He's talking in this particular clip about the prison system and what happens when all these men are in the prison and what it is doing to the black community.
Let the inmates run the jail, let drugs into the jail, then you can see that this is not a good development for either the inmate or society. And so for the last 30 years, there's been at least 70% recidivism for inmates who come out of jail who got the sentences for 5 years or longer.
Now, can you hear that at all?
Yeah,
Okay.
You can play.
All right.
It's a failed policy. And when you see that it's just black people, and that black people's lives are being negatively impacted because you got all kind of freaky sex in jail.
He's saying all kinds of freaky sex in jail with the black people in there.
That's what just come on out with it. As one client of mine said, 95% of the inmates are fucking each other and the other 5% are liars. Now, I don't know about that. We have to rely on other reporters to verify whether this is so. But the point is, it's an age factor.
I think it's too hard to understand. I'll tell you what he's saying. People can watch.
Yeah, I do want to mention a couple of things you said early on that, which was the inmates are running the jail and they're running drugs. And if you think about these prisons, they're unsafe environments.
Yes.
I mean, this is a ridiculous situation.
Here's what he's saying about this. It says 95% of all men in prison are having, he said the F word, with each other.
Having sex.
And 5% are lying.
Right.
But he says that, of course, there's no condoms in jail. That's a forbidden product. So HIV runs rampant. And then
you're just killing everybody.
And then you come out of jail, and then there's women waiting for these guys, and then they pass it on to them. He said this is he doesn't say it exactly that way, but he kind of says this is eugenics. And
I wouldn't argue against the theory.
No, and throwing
it's
people
not that nutty.
No.
Because it's going on to such an extreme right now. All you have to do is look at the stats of total incarceration in the United States since 1950. Yeah. There's your hockey stick.
And this is the Bill Gates Foundation funding this.
Bill Gates and the CCA. He's
Bill Gates, whose father was a founding member of the Eugenics Society of America with Margaret Sanger.
What?
Bill Gates' father was...
I never heard this.
Yes. Here, Henry.
What?
Yeah, Henry. He was the lawyer. Louis Gates Sr.
Louis Gates is not his dad.
I'm not Louis Gates.
It's Bill Gates.
Yeah. I'm telling you, Bill Gates Sr.
No, I don't think so. I think it's the other Gates.
I don't think. What, the black guy? No.
No, not that one.
Here, Bill Gates. I think he moved in right before they rebranded to Planned Parenthood. Yes, I'm telling you, Bill Gates' dad I think he was one of the co-founders of Planned Parenthood after it was the Eugenics Society of America with Margaret Sanger.
Just as a gag, was this before or after Bill was born? Never mind.
Yeah, that's a good gag.
I could have got a ring or something, a bell. I give myself one.
Yeah, your little bell there.
Well, that's disturbing.
We've discussed this.
I don't remember this. I wouldn't have been so
Here it
shocked.
is. Because we played Bill Moyers, where Bill Gates admitted his father used to be the head of Planned Parenthood.
I think it's a clip you probably clipped and never played.
Definitely.
That's possible.
Well, let me see in my nifty system if I can find anything. I'm not so sure.
You can do it. Bill Moyers, Bill Gates. Sure as Moyers, and it wasn't because he's always on Charlie Rose.
Yeah, but it was, and I remember this because I remember the interview, and there were a couple other things. I do this
too. I clip something. I'm going to use it. I never used it, and I think I used it. And then we talk, and I figure you must have heard this, and you didn't because I didn't play. It wasn't played. I think that's because I would have remembered that. I may be losing my short-term memory, but that's
all right. I'm right behind you.
That's a whopper.
Yes, this I think is a statement of fact at this point. That
well, we'll see.
Yes, just hear the clip. Do Bill Gates Sr. Planned Parenthood? You'll get the whole Google list. It's not that hard. Now
it is. It's hard.
Now you could argue that the transition from the Eugenics Society of America to Planned Parenthood took out the eugenicist part, but I don't know.
All right. Well, I'll look it up later.
Okay.
Anyway, that's my point. And so I think this is all interlinked in some way. And I think you
that's sad.
Agree that there's a lot of, yeah.
And so I would say Billy Murphy, although on the
way I'm going to take one more little stab at trying to analyze this. I don't have any clips, but there was a lot of Baltimore clips about these protesters, when the protesters, not the rioters, moaning about, well, yeah, the education system in Baltimore sucks, which of course
sucks everywhere.
O'Malley doesn't think so. Sucks, and there's no jobs. We got to get jobs. These black people need work. They need jobs. I'll bring this up again. I was thinking about it the other day about the future of trucking in the United States is robots. There's not going to be a truck driver left. Maybe somebody in some place, podunk area where they can't maintain a robot truck. But this is the point. There are no jobs.
Yeah, this is a poverty issue. It's a poverty issue of the United States of Gitmo Nation, which the media parrots the lies from the administration about the unemployment, the true unemployment numbers. The unemployment numbers are correct, but they just forget to add in all the people who are given up and are bums, homeless.
Bums don't count.
Don't count. You don't count if you're a bum. Yeah. And you're out. Yeah. And it is poverty. And this particular city, to even call this a white on black matter is really a canard of epic proportions, because it's just not. It's about power, and it's about...
You use the word canard.
I like to use that word.
Yeah, I know you've used it before.
Yeah, I know, and you laughed, and so I use it.
I always do. It's just a funny word. And for some reason, Donald Duck comes to mind every time you hear the word.
The canard is duck. And then, of course, we have Al Sharpton moving in on the scene, and he called for the obvious.
We need the Justice Department to step in and take over policing in this country.
We need to, I guess, federalize the police or something?
In the 20th century, they had to fight states' rights, and to get the right to vote, we're going to have to fight states' rights in terms of closing down police cases. Police must be held accountable. I don't think all police are bad. I don't even think most are bad. But those that are need to be held accountable.
So, a national militarized police.
Thanks, Al.
That's what we want.
That's exactly
that would solve everything.
I've been hoping for that. Hey, Al.
Douchebag.
Dick. Out of your mind, man. Okay, so we are in agreement that there are larger agendas, whether this was a prelude to it or whether it's being used for this. I really like your analysis of the words. Just the only thing left we can say is black, white. Nothing else. You can't say anything else. Black, white. You're black, you're white. You can't say thug. Can't say retard. Can't say nigger. Can't say any words. All these words, you can't say it. Words. What we're going to be left with, like 2 words that we're going to be able to use as citizens. Yeah and no. Often used in a sentence. It can also be used in a sentence. Man, oh man.
All right.
But with that, maybe I should thank you for your courage and say, in the morning to you, John C., where the C stands for Chicka-chang-chang. Canard. Dvorak. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, in the morning to you, Adam Curry. Also in the morning to all ships at sea, boots on the ground, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
Hello, everybody in the chat room, noagendastream.com. Nice to have you here, weighing in, helping us out with everything. And in the morning to Martin JJ. Good to have Martin JJ back with his artwork for episode 717. This, of course, was the juice jacking episode, and now a verboten word in the art. Some graffiti there on the wall, including the word thugs. So I'm sure this will be banned eventually.
Oh, eventually everything gets banned.
Banned episode.
People should record and preserve these episodes for future generations.
Yes, exactly.
And save the art somewhere. And we have a giant donor for today's show, which reminds me, I have to go get his email.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Kowalewski in Würzburg, Deutschland. He's actually in Poland, if I'm not mistaken, with his note. $2,329.15.
Wow.
And that was, that's a very...
Is he going to kill himself or something? You just want to give everything to us?
No, he's not. He's good to go. He's not going to kill himself. He seems to... let me get his note. Hang on.
Now, are you being a sizist by saying a giant donor?
Yes, I'm being a sizist. I have to eliminate this sizism.
You're a sizist, damn you. A sizist.
It's the next bad thing. How do you spell his name?
I think it's Kowalski. Kowalski.
No, I want to know how it's spelled there.
Kowalski is what I have here.
Isn't there what? That's not what I'm looking at.
Oh, you have Kowalewski.
Kowalewski.
I'm looking.
Kalawus. It's got a different pronunciation. It's not Kowalski. Anyway, so he sent a note in Human Resources. Dear Human Resources, this donation is important. Yes, I agree.
Yes, very Kowalewski.
We both agree on that.
Kowalewski, you're right.
The substance is right, the time is right, and the way in which it has been developed is right. It is a properly considered, thought-through amount that will help keep us safe at a time of very significant danger.
Wow.
May this 2K14 donation...
I think it's 2K14.
2K14. Okay. Well,
yeah, well, if you do the math, then you understand what he did.
Oh, 2K14 donation also celebrates the year in which I had the honor, the privilege, and the pleasure of being hit in the mouth by Robin Nisters, or Neisters. Therefore, please be so kind as to give this honorable man an extended whipping with the Constitution.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't quite that far. I wasn't quite that far. Yes, just keep going.
You need to get your pencil out.
Okay, but you want me to do all this stuff and get my pencil out?
Well, just get your pencil out. It would make it easier.
Okay. Pencil's out.
He wants to be known as Sir Adam.
Okay.
I say that because Eric's got him down as Sir Kowalewski.
I got it. Sir Adam.
That little tip at the top of the 2K14 in the amount of 31415, I'd like to dedicate to Mr. Fletcher. I can already imagine that Kowalewski scream. We want to get this pronunciation correct, so you're going to have to send us actually, you can look it up on, I'm sure, on the internet. It'd be great if you could also do a Darkwing Duck in Russian. It goes like that. Zorny Plash. Intro is available on YouTube.
I have no idea what he
says. The intro is available on YouTube. It would be OMG amazing.
Okay.
Also, it'd be great if that dude named Ben at GitHub, who made the No Agenda organization, could finally add me to it.
Wow.
Did you know we had a GitHub No Agenda organization?
No, I didn't. I have no idea. That makes sense. We've got organizations everywhere. We're like,
yeah, I know. It's just that we lose track of them. Yeah. Anyway, best regards to all you out there from Czałstek, Poland.
This is fantastic. So his donation amount is, I presume, for the entire year 2014. He puts in $2,014 and then adds on top of that the $314.15 for the pie donation to get a Fletcher shout out. Damn.
Right.
Wow. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And that's a very well thought out. He's right. It's a well thought out donation. We do get people that come in at the end of the year or out of the blue and they say, well, here's for all last year.
Right.
And $1 a day, $1 a show.
Well, this certainly helps for today's episode. That's highly appreciated. Fantastic. I'm going to give him the long wrap because of this large donation.
Now get out there and whoop Obama's behind. Whooping, 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 whooping. Whooping with the Constitution. Whooping, 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 whooping with the Constitution. Whooping, 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 whooping with the Constitution. Whooping, whooping, whooping all of them behind the Constitution. Whooping.
Amen. Fist bump.
You've got karma.
I'd forgotten about the long version. That's cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thank you,
Adam.
sir.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and we're going to look forward to knighting you later.
John Porter from Paisley, UK, 33333. I didn't know there was a town city named Paisley. I think it's kind of cute.
Are you sucking on a lozenge?
Yeah, because I was losing my voice for some reason. I still am.
All right.
And I didn't want to start coughing.
All right.
ITM, birthday shout out to Fifth. And by the way, it turns out the answer after a used lozenge that was set aside stupidly by me, probably at the last show.
This is the same lozenge from the last show?
Not the one I'm sucking on.
Oh, I thought maybe you put it down and you picked it up.
With the ants.
Yeah, there
ants. Yum.
All right.
IGM birthday shout out for the 5th of May for me. I promised myself for 8 day 2. Oh, jeez, hang on. I'm going to stretch this thing. Oh, wow. Okay, hang on 1 second.
I promised myself to make a good donation after testing the job karma. Was between contracts for 8 days and had 2 companies bidding for me. Great work, guys. Keep us informed. BPITU.
Well, that means he needs another job karma.
Absolutely. Oh, let me get the job.
That way he gets an instant raise.
Is that how it works?
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Here we go. Oh, hit it.
Jobs, jobs,
give him the jobs.
Jobs and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Nice.
Ichi Kitagawa in San Jose, California, 31415. Thank you for the best. I'd like to shut up Kitagawa from Fletcher if he could do that with a fake Japanese accent. The guy's going to blow his voice out trying to do it with a fake Japanese accent. I don't know how you do it either, but okay. Thank you for the best podcast in the universe. Scott Drummond, 31415, in Laval, Quebec. And he wants Drummond. Lucas Groders in Tucson, Arizona. ITM gents for this Fletcher Fest donation. Can I get a SOAZ? SOAZ. SOAZ. Southern Arizona. And there's not too much trouble. Add Clashers in Vocal Fry. It is. But okay, maybe. You can also play the Fletcher Uber clip. Thanks for all you do in BP. When we play all these clips, that'll be in there. Thanks for all you do in the best podcast in the universe. Sir Dean Bertram goes.
Wait, does that mean that I have? I'm sorry. Does it not mean that I have to play the Fletcher Uber jingle? Is that what he was asking for?
I don't know that he was, but play it if you want.
Well, I didn't really have it handy. That's why I was a little confused.
Oh, well, I think it was a request that it gets played when the SOAZ gets played, so he can record.
Okay. All right. Good.
Or on the website or whatever.
No, we'll just keep it this way.
Sir Dean Bertram, Baron Dean Bertram in Bibra Lake, Washington, Australia. Western. What's WA? It's West. Not Washington.
WA is Washington.
Yeah, but he's in Australia.
Oh, Western Australia.
Western Australia.
West Africa. I don't know. Something like
Western
that.
Australia.
Down over that.
Yeah, just looking at my kick of Washington. Got my
over that place.
Sorry, folks. We're running a little weak-minded, feeble-minded today. 20202. This is our last donation. Hi, guys. I thought I'd better make a contribution after you called me out as a man overboard on show 713. Things are a little hectic here in Accra, Ghana. Oh, he's in Ghana. This is our guy, Bertram.
Yeah. Baron. There we go. Yes.
Yeah, the Baron in.
I know.
Yeah, he's not in Bibra Lake, Western Australia. This is what PayPal has. They can't change. You can't change your address in PayPal. People bitch about this constantly, by the way. Things are a little hectic here in Accra, Ghana, with the Ebola Islamic State of West Africa and no bloody electricity. Please give yourselves, all of these listeners, a shot at karma. And can I get a birthday shout out for my daughter, Dina? I don't think she's on the list.
No, she's not. I'm ready. I've got my pencil. 11 on today? 11 today?
Yeah, Dina, 11 today.
All right.
She's 11. All the best from Sir Dean Barron of the Gold Coast. Definitely still on board.
Nice.
Good, because this is the guy who my douchebag friend, Greg Zachary, met up with in Africa, and he said, "Why do you?" I couldn't believe this asshole.
Why do you send those dudes money?
Those douchebags money.
I don't know why either.
Well,
for ants.
Well, I need an ant killer. That's for sure. That's going to cost big dough. Anyway, I want to thank all these folks. This is the group of associate executive producers and executive producers and Insta Baronet, apparently, that help us do the major part of the production of the show, and they get these special credits. And I want to remind you that we have this again on Thursday, and if you go to Dvorak.org/NA, you can continue to help us out, help us continue the show.
Yeah. And it is highly appreciated. There's always a couple things you can do. One of
Hands clapping, thumbs up.
No, there's that, of course. But go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
And you can always be out there doing the very important work of propagating the formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Hey, citizens.
Shut up, slave. Shut up, slave.
Yo.
And you should do your little bit about these are real credits.
Well, you already did that. You did that.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Not as good. You do it better.
Yeah, but I was listening. It becomes so automatic that I
Yeah, it's probably better to mix it up.
Mix it up once in a while.
I've noticed this with the newsletter, and I've noticed it's very, I think a lot of people, they just turn off their hearing when they hear the same old thing.
Yeah. The jingle we could not find on the previous show, the Chung Kun Chaka Ching Ching. A couple of people emailed me, and of course, it was John Huntsman speaking Chinese. This was a big staple of the 2000.
Oh, right. Yes, this was one of our regular
12 elections. Yeah.
Overdone thing.
Overplayed.
Overplayed.
Yeah, but he was, I think it was one of the questions he got while they were looking for the candidate, I believe.
Yeah, Huntsman would have been a better president. But
okay,
what difference does it make?
I don't know. Let's listen to our current president, who had. This is from now. The president has two podcasts. He has his own soliloquy podcast, known as as his weekend. You okay there with the ants, big boy?
Continue.
Right. Well, it's a little distracting when you're hitting ants while I'm talking. Then he has his other. I think he probably likes this one more, but less people watch it. The West Wing Week. And they put together this little thing.
We haven't heard an episode of this for over a year.
Because they're typically boring and annoying, and you just... Bleh. We had President Abe of Japan over here with his wife, Mrs. Abe. And boy, we pulled out all the stops. We had dudes marching around in Civil War clothing. It was complete nutso. And then the president, as eloquent as he is, and you can just see, would John Huntsman have done a better job? I'm not sure how a former ambassador to China would do a great job with the Japanese president. Could be some bad blood there. But the president, our president, he knows how to tell someone how happy we are to be friends. I'm one of the best allies we have.
Tuesday began bright and early as preparations for the Japanese state dinner began on the South Lawn at the crack of dawn. Later that morning, Japanese Prime Minister Abe and his delegation were formally welcomed to the White House in a state arrival ceremony that was replete with military colors, fife and drum, music, and of course a bunch of flags.
A bunch of fags? Hey, why do we have to have all this military stuff when someone comes to visit?
Is it because we're a military empire?
Is he coming to buy? Is this?
And there's that. Yes.
Hey, oh boy, there's that new thing we want to sell you. Oh, it just happened to fly by.
Say thank you for all the things we love from Japan, like karate, karaoke, manga, and anime.
Karaoke, manga,
and anime, and
of course emojis.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
The two leaders then held a bilateral meeting.
Is that not the most insulting thing he could do? How come he didn't go, so
emoji-san.
Charlie Chan. Oh no, not Charlie. Mr. Moto.
I want Sir Mark or Dame Astrid to let me know what people in Tokyo think about that.
Oh, I'm sure they think highly of it.
Emojis. Thanks for karate, karaoke. For anime, which is hairless pubescent girls getting banged. That's pretty much what anime is.
Well, that's a drawing style.
Okay. And then thank you for emojis.
God.
Yeah, so I think Huntsman might have done better in this case. I think you're right. You have a good point. Well, I have a lot of directions.
Well, he wasn't on the list of people to pick, so the Republicans weren't going to run him.
Right.
Let's see what we got here.
Well, there's a lot of...
I have a clip that I don't know what it is, and I'd be interested just as a surprise clip.
Okay.
The clip is "Be Targeted for Money."
Okay.
Los Angeles County has approved a settlement over systematic abuses of minorities. The Justice Department said the L.A. County Sheriff's Department targeted blacks and Hispanics with traffic stops and with using excessive force. Under the settlement, the Sheriff's Department agrees to 3 years of federal monitoring, and it will pay up to $700,000 to people who can prove they were targeted.
Oh. Whoa.
See, now, doesn't this open a can of worms?
Yes.
It's like if I'm out there and I'm in a community that's being targeted, I'm going to go out of my way to be targeted.
Heck yeah. Do anything you can.
Yeah. And then take them to court and get, if you the big jackpot, 700,000, it's almost like playing The Price is Right. You see how much you can get out of these guys.
Yeah.
Like, I only got 50. Damn it. But at least I can move out of this crap hole. All right.
I was watching.
That was my surprise clip.
It was okay. It was okay.
Well, let me give you one more then.
Well, can I just go into something serious, or you just want to play little throwaways?
Well, these are all serious.
Okay.
The CIA. This is an interesting one. This is the CIA guy in Pakistan.
Police in Pakistan have withdrawn a criminal complaint against a former CIA station chief over a U.S. drone strike. The 2009 attack killed 2 people in a tribal region. Police originally filed the case in Islamabad, but they now say they don't have jurisdiction.
Yeah, that's convenient. It turns out we haven't got jurisdiction. What does that mean?
Jurisdiction. Well, we're doing a lot of interesting things. And the State Department, this is relatively new, but I know of this campaign. This campaign is Free the Press, which they're running on now. And the idea is to shame countries by announcing kind of a propagandistic way at the beginning of the State Department press gathering that they have the daily briefing, but really just to say, here's what we're doing. Here's how horrible this country is because they have arrested journalists. And this seems to be, and particularly because it's Marie Harf, and of course we're going to move into something from here, this seems to be kind of a central launching pad for shaming other countries and leaders, which can easily, of course, lead to an uprising, a regime change, etc. So here she is shaming of all countries, Azerbaijan, which, as we know, Azerbaijan is very important. Baku is where, this is where all the oil companies have big presence, and this is just a crap load of resources. But Azerbaijan is bad.
Hi, everyone. I'm really sorry I'm late. I know, it's my fault today.
Okay.
Free the press. Let's start with that.
Free the press.
We continue our Free the Press campaign with 2 more cases today. The first comes from Azerbaijan, where 12 journalists and bloggers remain detained or imprisoned on government orders.
So, yes, thank you for catching that. Now, it's one thing to be holding journalists captive, beheading them, etc. But now we can even move to a new category, which is bloggers. So now I guess
those dangerous bloggers.
They came for the bloggers. And I didn't do anything, and then they came for the podcasters.
Government orders. Among the 12, Mr. Halal Mamadov, I think, has been in prison since 2013. There he is on the screen. He was arrested in 2012 on charges of treason, incitement of ethnic hatred, and drug possession, and sentenced to 5 years in prison in 2013. The United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention considers his detention arbitrary and has requested...
Wait a minute. The Department on Arbitrary Detention says, hey, that detention is arbitrary. Wow, what a great organization that is. Here's our card. I'm from the Arbitrary Detention...
I wonder what you get a year to work there.
I'm at the Arbitrary Detention Unit. This detention is arbitrary. Thanks.
Okay, we're coming in.
This is great. Let me hear that again.
Incitement of ethnic hatred and drug possession, and sentenced to 5 years in prison in 2013. The United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention considers his detention arbitrary.
I don't know why I find that funny. I find that funny.
And has requested his immediate release in March 2014. A number of international human rights groups have also called for his release. We join them in calling for the immediate release of him and other journalists and bloggers who were incarcerated for simply exercising their right to freedom of expression.
Bloggers.
She drops it in funny. It's as though bloggers are really what we're going to be dealing with here.
I think you're entirely correct. Because bloggers are easy. This blogger was just trying to tell the truth, speak truth to power, and could be any schmuck.
Yeah, it could be a guy. Next will be the guys doing comments in the comments, at the end of a story.
He was a discus commenter.
A commenter was taken to jail in Azerbaijan.
We join them in calling for the immediate release of him and other journalists and bloggers who were incarcerated for simply exercising their right to...
I think it's because it was added in later into her script. Maybe there's a little caret there and bloggers written in pen.
Could be.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But the new initiative was to get
because
bloggers.
There's something afoot
With the bloggers.
With the bloggers.
Other journalists and bloggers who were incarcerated for simply exercising their right to freedom of expression. We call for an end to all such prosecutions and other forms of pressure on the independent press, and for Azerbaijan to honor its commitments to freedom of expression.
Okay, Azerbaijan on deck. Now, what happened, I'm sure you heard about this, and I'm going to call it an activation. Marie Harf was called out by the mayor of Ankara in Turkey. And although I think originally he said, hey, look at I'm paraphrasing, look at Baltimore and tell me that we have a poor human rights record in Turkey. How about that, Blondie? That is what I believe the original translation was, and he was referring directly to Marie Harf, who sits here and calls countries out. We just heard her do it with Azerbaijan. She did it previously with Turkey. She does it all the time. And this has turned into him calling her a dumb blonde, which I think is not true. I don't think that is the original translation, but this has now become some minor little skirmish. But I believe Marie Harf is actually being activated to do these things, to get to get in fights on Twitter with people in other countries, to call out countries that they're lame about bloggers. She is the kind of the social media guru here of the State Department. And on Thursday, she was asked at the very end of the press briefing.
Well, before you continue, I think you may have stumbled onto something here, and she is the most expert because when she goes on CNN,
she was CIA. That's where she comes from.
Yeah, she's CIA. She's CIA, and she'll go on CNN and she'll do all this this disinformation programs. She's really good because she does have a kind of a dingy, dumb blonde, flute joke kind of
insert flute joke here. Yeah.
She. Of course, by the way, blondism. It's another thing we have to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, blondism.
Whatever the case.
Amen. Fist bump.
Yeah, whatever the case.
I think you're onto something. She's doing something. She's up to something. Something's going down.
She's been activated. She is. She's the central point. Now, well, first let's listen to her respond and how she used this for complete political motivation, speech, whatever. Didn't even really discuss the case at hand. So she was aware of how she had already planned how she wanted to use this particular social media fracas, because the guy tweeted it he tweeted this insult to her. So this is a social media guru, Marie Harf.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thanks. Sorry. Marie, I don't know if you've seen the comments from the Ankara mayor.
I wasn't sure if we were going to get through the briefing without someone.
Yeah, and they're obviously pretty inflammatory, and I wondered if I could have your comment, particularly as they see they're targeted exclusively at yourself.
They are. That is true. I think a couple points here. They were about the situation in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. First, that I don't think there should be any question in the minds of anyone who's paying attention here about the view of the United States government about what's happening in Baltimore. Given the president's lengthy statement on it yesterday, you've heard the Attorney General and multiple other officials speak about it as well. And I would note that the president didn't just talk about the specific incident and the investigation, but really about the fact that we have to do some soul searching here, and spoke, I think, very deeply and personally about an issue that is clearly one that people feel very passionately about. And I think the final thing I would probably say is that, and I've said this before, but I would put our record here in the U.S. of openly, transparently
killing black people,
addressing challenges when we have them here at home up against any other countries on the planet. I mean, when you have the President of the United States, I think, speak for 12 minutes yesterday, when you have wall-to-wall news coverage of this, when you have commentators and people debating and talking, U.S. government officials saying there's going to be an investigation. That is a record of transparency, of self-reflection, when we have challenges that I would put up against any other countries anywhere in the world.
And can I just ask, I mean, the remarks he actually makes, though, are in my opinion, and I'm not supposed to have one, are pretty offensive, and I'd like to give you the opportunity to respond.
So why doesn't she just say he called you blondie, dumb blonde, stupid blonde? She can't even. I don't know. For some reason, that would be wrong to say this.
To his criticism of you.
I really don't think I'm going to dignify them with a response.
Oh, okay. A little vocal fry there at the end. So she's not going to dignify them. Now, the person missing from the room on this day, on this very important day, is her boyfriend, Matt. Matt, AP Diplo writer. Of course, Matt is our guy in the State Department. He asks all the questions. He's a man. Of course, we are quite convinced that there is a romantic involvement between Matt from Associated Press and Marie Hart.
Well, Matt and Marie, they're talking sensibly. They're sitting in a tree.
Kissing. So here is Matt. The next day, the opening, just at the top of the whole press conference, and he is buttering her up.
Matt.
Right.
Whoa.
Whoa. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, hello.
What you've always wanted.
An echo. Just what you've always wanted, right?
So that's
I'll come at you in stereo.
Okay, this is a good briefing. I'm going to go ahead and leave.
I want to start with a
See you
rant.
all in 10 days when we're back.
Hello! What? I call that an invitation. Bang-a-rooney, baby.
Wow.
We'll see you all in 10 days when we're back.
Yes, go ahead.
10 days.
Splendid.
I want to start with a rant, but actually start with, and I apologize because I've been gone for 3 days.
Yeah. All right. Mm-hmm. That was not the end of it. No. As we come back from commercial break, we're back to our lovebirds, where Matt has to reference the douchebag who, of course, called her out as a dumb blonde. And now he feels that she is the guru of all social media.
Fight for her honor.
Well, not really. But he feels that she's the guru of all social media.
And then my last one on a rant, and I understand that you were asked a question about social media yesterday involving yourself. Given that you have vast experience in the social media realm, I'm wondering if you're familiar with this exchange between Senator Cotton and Foreign Minister Zarif, and if you might have any advice for either one of them, given your vast experience.
I don't know. Do you have vast experience?
By the way, that's what lovers do. You know, he's kind of, well, now that you all have that vast experience, come on, baby, why don't you tell me what you can do? What would you advise these political leaders to do with your vast experience?
Either one of them, given your vast experience.
I don't know. Do you have vast experience in it, too? Do you have any advice for them? To be fair, I didn't actually look at it.
Social media. Let's get social. Let's get social. Let's get social. Let's get social media. KISSING.
There you go, everybody. Matt and Marie.
Here's it's very good, by the way. Good catch. Good catch. Keeping the soap opera alive.
Thank
You're on No Agenda.
That's right.
Well, we have a British election coming up.
Yeah, it's getting interesting. Next week, I think. Is coming week? Is it?
Yeah, I have a Cameron clip that I picked up off the
I have one
question
too.
Time, where he says this. He just rambles about something. I
think we both have the same clip. I guarantee.
We have to have a vote, but first this and that, and it's just so confusing. You don't know what he's getting at. But this is the Cameron pre-election doublespeak.
One of the big deciders for this election is that promise by the incumbent to stage before the end of 2017 an up or down referendum on whether or not Britain stays in the European Union.
I say get stuck in, renegotiate, get the changes we need, and then put those in an in-out referendum to the British people by the end of 2017. I've sat around that table in Europe and negotiated for Britain. You can get things done, and I've set out what I want to get done so that we can sort out this immigration issue once and for all.
What?
What did he say?
Well, you take the problem, you put it into the committee on the table, and then there's immigration issues that you go fix later on.
And vote can I ask you a question? You lived there for a while recently.
Yeah.
Let's say the British public does a down vote. Yeah. Does anybody think they're not going to make them vote again?
No. Do-over. Clearly.
If they voted down again, what would happen?
Do-over.
Well, that's third time's a charm.
Yeah.
One out of three.
I actually had a different clip from Mr. Cameron as he was preaching to a group of students, all of voting age, and was encouraging them to get out and vote, and he made a little goof.
And that's why I think this election is so important. And that's why whatever your views and whichever party you support, please make sure you do vote on May the 7th. This is a real career-defining, country-defining election that we face in less than a week's time.
I'm sorry, career-defining? I mean, country-defining.
He blew right over it. It's a career, country.
Yeah, that's all he's thinking. This is career-defining.
Well,
oh, my God, I'm getting hard just thinking of it.
The funny thing is, of course, is the reports that the election between, there's three guys involved. There's Clegg, who's, forget that guy, he's an idiot. Yeah. And then Ed Miliband, who I don't believe anybody in their right mind would vote for. But, and I don't think Cameron's great either, but whatever. They are announcing it's a close election. And they're taking this right to the end as though it's a tie. So let's get the money into the coffers of the mainstream media. This is so transparent. This goes on everywhere. They're making it sound like it's neck and neck. It's not going to be neck and neck at the end of the day. Can't get these
hopeless
cliches out of my.
You're hopeless today, man. What is going on with you?
Cliches.
Just hopeless.
At the end of the day, it'll be a one-sided, left-sided slaughter.
This is not going well for you.
He'll take his marbles and go home.
And somehow, I believe the woman from Scotland is important in all this. I have to admit, I have not really paid close attention to it. But also, they have a quiet period, don't they? Before the election, there's X amount of time that you can't. Nothing is discussed at all.
I don't know whether they discussed anything. They haven't discussed anything yet. Why would things change?
No, you know what I mean. Let me see.
I see.
It's called the election silence. And in the United Kingdom, that's only voluntary restriction. That's only on election day.
Yeah, it's bullcrap.
I thought it was.
It's like electioneering. You can't be out in front of of a polling place with signage.
Right.
Vote for Bill.
Right. There's a couple of big things we can still talk about. I caught this.
Here, let me get one in, which is. I just thought this was amusing. This is the report that I guess Obama thought it was a great idea. And I'm listening to this. Probably you may have the same thoughts. But play the free ebooks clip.
Free ebooks.
Low-income American children will soon have access to millions of free ebooks. President Obama launched the initiative today with the help of major publishers. He made the announcement at a public library in Washington.
We're going to provide millions of ebooks online so that they're available for young people who maybe don't have as many books at home, don't always have access to a full stock of reading materials. They're going to be able to get about $250 million worth of books.
The ebook initiative is part of a broader program to provide internet access to 99% of U.S. students by 2018.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is all
This is some sort of scam that the publishers dreamed up. And by the way, if people want to look for good reading, and there's a lot of good stuff. It's in Project Gutenberg. They got 48,000 books.
It's fantastic.
You can get the ebook, EPUB. You can get a Mobi. You can get HTML. You can read it on the web. You can get all these styles. Yeah. The books are very well scanned in. You can also get probably 1 million books on archive.org, but their scan stinks. So it's very annoying to read the archive.
You mean their OCR, their optical character recognition?
That's because they don't send editors. They figure, let's just get this stuff scanned in and get it out of the way. And just scan as much as we can while we can, which is kind of what Google does. But Google does, kind of optical scans mostly, and they don't try to do OCR, which is what happens when you take archive. I know too much about this. When you take archive.org's books, they OCR them, and then they turn them into Mobi files, or you can do it yourself, EPUBs possibly. You do a conversion online, very easy. But these guys at Project Gutenberg, they have editors go into these books and they edit them so they're in perfect condition when you put it on a Kindle.
And I would recommend all of the Tom Swift books are all on Project Gutenberg. I love Tom Swift. I didn't know that these were done at 1890. A lot of these books were.
That's old.
Yeah, and they're great books. I read them as a kid.
There's a lot of great stuff on Project Gutenberg that people should go read. And why hadn't the kids been turned on to this? Free, unobtrusive,
well-maintained, open source mentality.
Yeah.
No, we're going to give you ebooks on our government-sponsored broadband. Yeah.
I just found the whole thing annoying. And again, Project Gutenberg's never mentioned. It's one of the really. It began in 1971.
I agree. There's something bad going on here, John. Just talking about, well, unlike the bad book story. I think, and I should have brought this up during Baltimore. I believe that what is taking place now, and I have an example here from my own state, from Texas, with the cop cameras, body cameras. Those are going to be ushered in at great expense. We've discussed this, but at the same time, we are now seeing legislation that is saying, okay, we have these body cameras on the police. Now we need to back off the citizens with their cell phones, and we need to have some legislation so they're not up all in our jockstrap like they've been. And there's multiple states now coming up with public video recording of officials in and on duty. And I have to say, here you go. Texas is the first one to come up that I've seen with the bill. And they do a couple of things. They say you may not film anything the police are doing closer than 25, I think it's yards. Let me just double check that it's yards, not feet. And unless, and this is the part that is, of course, most bothersome, unless you are an officially recognized member of the news media.
Huh.
This is one of our favorites, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I have the legislation here.
Officially recognizes the key words here.
Yeah. Then here we go. So first, an offense under this section is a Class B, so a misdemeanor, except that an offense under subsection A1 is based on conduct described by subsection A2 as a Class A misdemeanor. Irrelevant. First, they define an emergency. So this has to be an emergency situation, a condition or circumstance in which an individual is or is reasonably believed by the person transmitting the communication to be in imminent danger or serious bodily injury. And then we go to news media. And it is the news media who receive an exemption from these restrictions. And it's 25 feet to record any official business conducted on the street. If you have a handgun, if you have a firearm on you and you have the camera, which in Texas could be possible, it's 100 feet you have to stand back. So this is an interesting little caveat there. Now, news media. In this case, news media means a radio or television station that holds a license issued by the Federal Communications Commission. That's it. So if you are reporting for anyone that, for an organization that holds a license from the FCC for radio or television, you're okay, you're not restricted. B, a newspaper that is qualified under section 2051.044 Government Code to publish legal notices or is a free newspaper of general circulation and that is published at least once a week and available and of interest to the general public in connection with the dissemination of news or public affairs. And let's go to, I have the code here.
That's actually a narrow definition.
Here it is. So I pulled up section 2051.044. The newspaper in which noted, here's the four criteria. 1, devote not less than 25% of its total column lineage to general interest items. 2, be published at least once a week. 3, be entered as second-class postal matter in the county where published. So there's your exclusion of online blogs. And 4, have been published regularly and continuously for at least 12 months before the governmental entity or representative publishes notice.
So what you've done was describe a publication that is outside of the realm of what Marie Harf is bitching about.
Bloggers.
Bloggers.
Yeah, bloggers have been excluded in our own country.
Bloggers shoot the guy. Yeah, well, she should put us on the list then when she talks to this journalism expose she's doing.
Well, I have an FCC license, but I don't work for a company with an FCC license. And everything else I don't count. So here it is.
You're done. You doesn't count.
So here is, for purposes of subsection A1, an interruption, disruption, impediment, or interference that occurs while a peace officer is performing a duty or exercising authority imposed or granted by law includes a person, 1, filming, recording, photographing, or documenting the officer within 25 feet of the officer. So you cannot even write down what you see happening within 25 feet of what is taking place.
Well, I'd probably rather be 25 feet away if I was filming.
And, it's an interesting arbitrary number. Filming, recording, photographing, or documenting the officer within 100 feet of the officer while carrying a handgun, under the authority of subchapter H.
Who carries the handgun? The officer?
No. If you are
Does
filming,
it say that? Sounds like any handgun involved in the whole situation. What does it say?
No, it says if you are filming, recording, photographing, or documenting the officer and you have a handgun.
It says that, and you have a handgun?
While carrying a handgun.
It says officer while carrying a handgun.
No. Listen carefully.
I know what you're saying. I know. I'm not going to argue the point with what you say you're reading. I'm just trying to see if it could be parsed otherwise.
No. Filming. Okay. An interruption, disruption, impediment, or interference that occurs while a peace officer is performing a duty or exercising authority imposed or granted by law includes a person filming, recording, photographing, or documenting the officer within 100 feet of the officer while carrying a handgun. There's no other way to parse that.
I sure can parse it otherwise.
Okay.
I can see where the reference to while carrying a handgun refers to the policeman. It's very unclear. I don't see it as lockstep.
I think it's pretty clear.
Well,
it is a defense. This is one that I needed your help on. It is a defense to prosecution for an offense under subsection A1, we're talking about, based on conduct described by subsection 2, that the interruption, disruption, impediment, or interference was caused by a person who at the time of the offense was a news media employee acting in the course of the scope of the person's employment or employed or working with an organization or entity engaged in law enforcement activities. So the way I understand it is if you do get caught within 25 feet and you're arrested, you may use this defense against your prosecution by saying, hey, I was a news media employee, not necessarily a journalist, but I was, an intern or an associate producer, janitor, anything like that. And this is the state of Texas, which is very, very sad that they're doing this. I mean, I would
recommend a movie to anyone out there who's looking for a good movie over the weekend if they haven't seen this. Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler is about a guy who is a douchebag, independent journalist who's like a TMZ guy, let's say. And it's just entertaining. But you can see the douchey stuff that takes place.
Well, we're creating RoboCop, I think, is what's happening with these cameras. And, you think it's to protect you now, but soon it'll be, hello, citizen.
Okay, well, that's your argument.
Well, not argument.
No, you hate these cameras. I think you have a valid argument that's arguable.
Well, I mean, what's next? On surgeons? So we put cameras on surgeons to make sure they didn't mess it up?
They usually film most of those operations anyway.
Yeah. Warren Buffett came under fire, which, of course, will not really be reported into any great length.
Of course not.
For predatory lending practices. And so he had his big...
hard to imagine.
And he had his big thing there in Omaha. A number of our producers, I think, were actually there. And this is the Berkshire Hathaway talking about the results. They usually do pretty well. And he was tapped outside of his little speech there by, I think, CNBC, asking about these allegations.
Today, one of the big questions that came up at the shareholders meeting was something that was first printed in the Seattle Times about Clayton Homes and accusations of predatory lending there. What is your response to that story?
Well, it's a very simple fact. I mean, every person that buys a home from Clayton gets a one-page sheet of paper, which I showed a copy of, and it says, check all of these lenders, and name who you want your application to go to. And there might be 4 or 5 names there, their local bank. So everybody that we are not forcing loans on anybody. If they had a loan with us they didn't like, they could pay us off and borrow from somebody else. We have 300,000 loans on the books, and in the last 3 years, I've not received one letter of complaint from anybody.
That story has gone viral since it was first printed. Why have you not responded before today?
Well, I thought today would be a good chance to explain it in some depth. It's very hard to do one-sentence replies. But, I mean, the fellow as I pointed out today, I mean, the fellow confused gross profit and net profit. That's the difference between 20% and 3%. He either didn't understand it or he intentionally did it. He had some things wrong there about our equity. Had a number of things. Of course. We have actually, some of the people he quoted, we've worked to modify loans with them, but because of the privacy rules, we can't name the cases.
Oh, how convenient. And when you read this Seattle Times article, my goodness. So Berkshire Hathaway, Buffett, for all intents and purposes, owns the mobile home construction company, and these are just prefab. They poop them out. But they also, when he says, "Oh, we have all these different lenders you can go to," he owns most of these lenders, and so people sign up, they put down a down payment, and then all of a sudden their interest rate goes from 7% to 12.5%. They can't afford it, but they're already deep into it, and they wind up and these are retirees often. But when you really look at the numbers of how this works, you have a mobile home, which costs a brand new one, which on average costs $60,000. And these people wind up with 24 or 27 year mortgages. And when you do the math at the end of the term, the mobile home is worth about $25,000. But the loan, you've paid pretty much $300,000 over the term of this mortgage. And people are going bankrupt, and then their savings are gone, and then they just come in, they repossess the home, they chop it up right in front of the people's eyes. This guy's an asshole.
They chop it up? Yeah. And here's your house, Joe Fart.
I have it here. So in this article, the people pleaded with the lender several times for better terms. The ones they were originally promised. It's a big bait and switch.
Hey, you can go elsewhere if you don't like it.
Oh, here it is. If they refinanced to a lower payment, they could stay in the home, and the 21st would get years of steady returns. Otherwise, the company would have to come out to their rural property, pull the house from its foundation, and haul it away. And they said, you shouldn't do this because you might damage the home if you're going to repossess it. And the rep said, we don't care. We'll come take a chainsaw to it, cut it up, and haul it out in boxes, which they did.
Wow. Yeah, Buffett's, people have lots of choices. It's not we do anyway.
Yeah, what an a-hole.
He's a douchebag, of course.
Predatory. Where's Elizabeth Warren?
Oh, yeah. Well, after the election, after Buffett coughed up some donations for the presidency, you can see that thing being swept under the rug overnight. Yeah. None of this would take place or even exist if we had a wealth tax, by the way.
Yeah, that is one of your favorite things, isn't it?
It's my favorite thing, period. Every time I witness anything, I'm thinking, this wouldn't happen if there was a wealth tax.
Yeah, but a lot of people who produce the show disagree with you on that.
That's because they've been brainwashed silly.
Yes.
Brainwashed silly.
That's what it is. Yeah, it makes total sense. Brainwashed
Why would
silly.
you not want a wealth tax? Let me get the base argument here.
Here we go.
The idea of having no income tax is so you can accumulate wealth. And then when you get to if you can, some people just can't do it. They never will. But if you can accumulate wealth, then you get taxed on that. The tax comes in eventually, and it's pretty much what you'd be paying anyway in most cases. But you get to accumulate wealth. You can't do that in the current system. The current system is to protect wealth, and tax people so they can't get wealthy. It's to keep people down. And the super rich, they don't pay taxes anyway because it's all, they go through the back door. They sell stock. It's they pay other kinds of marginal taxes. Doesn't mean anything. But the idea is to keep you down. That's what income tax is all about. Yeah, and anyone who says that that it's fine, I like it, it's better. Let's make the income tax higher and keep people from ever getting anywhere. How is that any good?
It's not, and I would say that the way it works here in Texas, where we have no state income tax. In Austin, in particular, to me is just flabbergasting. where people are being pushed out of their homes because of the property tax, which is very high, reasonably high, and it's supposed to compensate, although we did just lower sales tax to 5.1%, so that's new.
People are being pushed out of their homes in the state of California more than they are in Texas, where we have a high income
But
tax.
what's happening, the people are getting pushed out of the state of California, come here because it's cheap here, and then they push our poor out.
Well, that's different.
Austin in particular is so racially divided. You take the I-35, and now you have to go a mile east because it's all douchebag beards and vapes and then cute little apartments. And that's where the poverty starts. They're being pushed all the way out.
Well, this would all be eliminated if you eliminated the income tax.
Right.
How about this? Talking about Austin, I've got a story about Austin, Indiana. It was covered on the NewsHour. Austin, Indiana apparently has an AIDS epidemic.
In Austin?
Because everybody in this little town of Austin.
In Indiana.
Everybody in this town is strung out on drugs. Because there's no jobs. Again, this is going to be a real problem everywhere. So there's no jobs. And then they found they reformulated, so they all got strung out on OxyContin. And there's one doctor in town who's been watching this whole thing. He says that there's just pain clinics, you get the Oxy, but they reformulated one of those pain medicines that people get strung out on, which I never heard of before, but they mentioned it in this piece. So you can't get strung out on it by taking a lot of pills. They coat it, or they who knows. So you have to crush them, grind them up, and use a syringe.
Yeah, we've talked about these new products, new patents that came out. They're not. I think it's actually not even crushable. There's
that too, but these are crushable in some way, or dissolvable. They have to be. Everything has to be dissolvable, otherwise just go right through you. So but they have to inject it now. They can't just take it orally.
Well, that gets you all set up for the next step, which is heroin.
That started off as just painkillers, people sharing their prescriptions with each other, buying prescriptions, that sort of thing. And then somewhere around 2010, 2011, that took a turn towards IV drug use.
A prescription painkiller called Opana had been reformulated, and addicts found they now needed to inject it to reach a euphoric high.
In the county, it wasn't surprising that HIV came in next.
Cook says his pleas for resources and financial help went unanswered until the number of HIV cases spiked.
Yeah, of course. Intravenous drug use, everything goes up.
Yeah, and heroin's around the corner.
Yeah, well, it's so cheap, it's so affordable. We're flying the poppies in. Everything's going swimmingly.
Yeah, works like a champ. What a system.
I've been following the danger across the border here. We have, of course, we all know that ISIS is just ready to bum rush us. Bum rush is exactly what it is.
That's a good one. Bum rush. It's an old term. I want to stop and just mention another one I was thinking of during our report on Baltimore, which my dad used to tell me all the time. And I think he was encouraging the next generation of kids to do this stupid act. But when he was a kid in the 20s, I don't know, 30s, if you were eating it, he'd tell me this more than once. If you were eating an apple and you finished it, you would hold up the apple core and yell "apple core," and then somebody in your little group of hooligans would yell "Baltimore."
Huh.
And it would be apple core, Baltimore, and then the guy with the apple core, and you'd have to race to say Baltimore. How many people were there? The first guy who said it. Then you got the guy who said Baltimore. The guy with the apple core first says, then who's your friend? This is the third thing that's said. And then the guy who said Baltimore points out one of the guys in the group, and you get to clobber him with the apple core.
While you were saying that, I was looking this up. What is it's from Donald Applecore, I think is the...
I don't understand the genesis of this, and why is Baltimore involved?
I think this comes from, this is a Disney thing.
No, this was pre-Disney.
Okay.
Disney used it maybe in one of his things.
They used it.
Because it was a commonplace in society amongst kids to do this, and they were throwing apple cores at each other. And I suppose a few kids just took one bite, yelled apple core, and then get the full apple.
Well, we should upgrade. I think we should upgrade it. We can say...
use guns.
No, Common Core.
Common Core at Baltimore.
Baltimore. I think that'll work. Anyway, so we have all kinds of frightening reports. This is from Arizona. Republican Representative Matt Salmon of Arizona, and he is on the very popular radio program by Sean Hannity, the douche. You can find him at SeanHannity.com. And, well, it's real.
So the federal government knew about this tunnel.
Right, almost 1,000 feet. That is what Chris Cabrera, who actually works for the Border Patrol, said in a shocking announcement before the Senate Homeland Security Committee. That's what he said. He said that they knew about it and that they were ordered to stay away from it.
Has the tunnel been thoroughly tested for evidence of the transport of nuclear, biological, or chemical weapons?
Because that's what ISIS is going to transport through it.
Right, and we don't have a clue. Have they done any investigation to determine whether or not foreign agents of terrorism have used the tunnel to enter the United States? We know that there are ISIS camps within
8
Mexico.
miles.
That's right, within 8 miles. Do we know that any of them didn't come across?
It's real. It's real. It's real.
Okay, we know.
We know there are. No.
We know. However, the former HSBC board member overseeing the drug money laundering at HSBC, throwing criminals like Martha Stewart in jail, Director James Comey of the FBI was in El Paso and said, I don't think so.
And I know because there's been a lot of attention to this in the media that has reached my eyes and ears in Washington. There's been media reports about, is there an ISIL camp across the border here in El Paso? Nonsense, right? Not true. It frustrates me a little bit that my folks have to run out such things, because we do run out every tip to make sure there isn't something to it. There is nothing to it.
There is nothing to it. I'm very confused now.
Well, I don't understand how the right-wing talk show host could have it so wrong.
With the tunnel and just 8 miles away from the camp. It's so pathetic. Just pathetic. Sean Hannity is pathetic.
Oh, he's a horrible tub thumper. Like personal buddies with George Bush.
What is a tub thumper? What do you do when you go up to someone's bathtub and thump it?
Tub thumper.
I'm not familiar with this.
The term means that you pound the drum.
Oh, okay.
It's the same things. Pound the drum for George Bush is great. Pound, pound, pound.
Right.
It's a colloquialism.
Okay.
But I like tub.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Sorry.
We do have some people to thank for show 718. And I'm going to name them by name.
Yeah.
Starting with Sir Kelly Spongberg, who is in the Rocky Mountain House, Alberta, Canada, where all the money is, or used to be. Birthday wish for Dame Andrea Garnier. We got her on the list. You're in good shape. Ed Le Boutelier.
Excuse me.
Well, that's not the way he pronounces his name.
I couldn't hit the mute button in time.
You have a mute button.
I do.
Was it the one that says, is that the one that specifically for podcasts got a big, says mute?
Yeah, this is the one.
On
that one.
Hesperia, California, $100 from Ed.
Mm-hmm.
And he does have something to say we should mention. You guys are great.
Nice.
Bruce Wilkie in Puyallup, Washington, $100. And does he have a call out here? No. There's something going on. We got you Boom Shakalaka earlier. We'll give you no, we got a Boom Shakalaka at the end of this.
All right. I will do the Boom
Lon
Shakalaka.
Baker, $100, parts unknown. Sir Jason Southwell in Pompano Beach, Florida, $100. Sir Herb Lamb in Sugar Hill, Georgia. He's got a, who's getting, this donation is from 1999. He wants Adam to kick in a penny to make him a baronet.
Very big penny.
And since he's a baronet now, he wants a Obama Porky Pig shocked to find Tourette's. So you can put that on the list if you don't mind.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, I do have to read something that was a top donor. Let me go back to it.
This is Clown Show.
This is Clown Show. If you notice that when we have, and of course I closed the mailbox. Oh, you idiot. When we go, if you haven't noticed, when somebody gets cut off, somebody who's donated $200 or more, they get cut off. I usually, or there doesn't appear, I usually offer to them to let me read the whole thing if they feel like I should. Otherwise, most people don't care. Mm-hmm. But we do have one here from. Great. Who was it? I've got his email. Never mind. I feel like that. Mike Cottrell. Good old Mike Cottrell came in, and this is what he wanted to say. He said, credit to Clown Show, pronounced Clown Show. Would like to get some small business karma for a 3-year-old venture, Low Boy Market. It's been a while since my wife donated, last for my birthday. No Agenda has been a huge part of my life since my father, best friend, and business partner passed away in 2009. At just 6'9", I don't know what that means. Fuck cancer. Sweet spot for the show is 3 hours and 30 minutes. No. Would like to hear 3 hours and 30 minutes. No. Would like to hear John's current, but with the show, John's current favorite jingle. I do have a favorite jingle I was thinking about.
Okay.
Adam, and you can look for it while I finish reading the note, which is there's no competition. There is no winning. You just form a circle and hold hands.
Okay.
That old classic.
Mm-hmm.
Adam would like to improve the jingle for our store, Low Boy Markets, where we sell everyday stuff but cheaper. Thanks from Cam. In other words, he wants some. We should send him over to Jeff Smith or somebody because he's looking for a jingle. The Canadians love those. He says, like some impromptu. Well, you want an impromptu. No, you want a real one. Low Boy Market, where we sell everyday stuff but cheaper. Thanks from Kamloops, BC, 2 hours north of downtown Spuzzum, my favorite town, and 2 hours north of Johns Washington Retreat. To many more successful years. I'm a faithful listener, never missed a show in 6 years.
So I have all these things queued up. We'll do them at the end. Is that the idea?
Yeah, do them now. It was like
there's no winning. We don't like to foster a competitive atmosphere, but we laugh a lot. Now everyone hug and share a secret.
That's how we go. That's how we roll.
You've got karma.
Yeah, I still have to find that wasn't the right Obama Porky Pig. I'll find it.
It wasn't?
No, that was a piece of the Porky Pig.
Oh, okay, the Porky Pig.
The Porky
Sir
Pig.
Herb Lamb, Sugar Hill, Georgia. I mentioned him, 99.90. David Roberts in Norristown, Pennsylvania, 96.24. P.D. Love in Richmond, Virginia, $75. David Hazan in Brooklyn, New York, 71.80. What is this? Jim Zukal in Los Angeles, Cal, 69.69. Jason Richmond, 69.69 in Redford, Michigan. What was the MK Ultra thing he's got? He says the No Agenda, this was by Zukal. He says the No Agenda MK Ultra programming kicked in when you played California Uber Alles. I donated immediately. Great work.
Yeah.
I wish we had
Here it is. Here's the Porky Pig thing I found.
That's how we go. That's how we roll.
That's all, folks.
And that's the story.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's very funny.
Yeah.
Jonathan Rose in Netanya, Israel.
Sir Jono.
Sir Jono.
The shape-shifting elder of Zion.
Yes, exactly. Thomas Richardson in Barnoldswick, Lancashire, UK, 5515. That was also Rose's, 5515. Scott Lawler, 5515 from Franklin, Tennessee. Tom Haney, 5510 from Tampa, Florida. Kevin Scott in, brother.
Sertogenbos. Sertogenbos.
St. Oakland's Bosch.
Exactly. Nailed it.
55 in Holland, obviously. Shauna Nash in Keene, New Hampshire, 5183.
It says Kurt's Donut. It should have been, I believe, the...
What's a Kurt's Donut?
I think that's someone wanted to be known as Kurt's Donut.
Oh, well, okay. Kurt's Donut, 5183 from Keene, New Hampshire. Richard Gardner. That's so hard. 5115. Scott Olson, 5115 in San Diego, California. Graham Wolf, 5115. These are 5115 special donations. It was Scott Fuller in Cumming, Georgia. Kevin Seifert in San Margarita, California, 5115. Brian Mossy in Hartford, Connecticut.
Read his note. He had a nice note that he sent.
Well, I'm just a $5 donor. This is from Brian. I've been trying to make it with a mentionable donation once a year or so ago. At this time, the stars are aligning. I'm in India for work, and the thought came to me that I should donate up the Indian numbers a bit. By the way, officially, it doesn't count. While the plane over here, I was watching Wag the Dog on Emirates in-flight entertainment. The first American female I met here spoke with vocal fry. I watched Iron Man 3 in the hotel, where the plot involves a fake Hollywood terrorist actor frontman. And finally, I saw the vaunted May Day, but I'm working while my Indian colleagues take the day off. What better way to commemorate this happenstance than a once-in-a-lifetime May Day palindrome donation to BPITU?
Nice.
ITM TYFYC Brian.
Thank you.
That is a nice note.
Yeah, that's a great note. I loved it.
Good catch. Sir Kevin Payne in Richmond, Virginia. I missed Stephen B. in South Florida, 5115. And then Sir Kevin Payne, 5069, Richmond, Virginia. Andy Bird, 5040, Lincolnshire, UK. Sir Inside Jobs in Seattle, Washington, 5033. And the following people are all $50 donators to finish off the segment. Lone Star MacD in College Station, Texas, which I believe is a big university town. Eric Harvey in Kalamazoo, Michigan, 50. D. Woodfine in Alton, Hampshire, UK. Stephen Milliken, $50, parts unknown. Dustin Martin, Salem, Oregon. Eric Miller, Norwalk, Connecticut. Shane Rozdilsky, Yeah. Shane Rozdilsky in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, the Paris of Canada. And that concludes our donating section for show 718.
Very nice. So we have an Insta baronet, actually.
Yeah.
Adam Kowalewski. You're right on the spelling, certainly. And a number...
Sir Adam.
Yes, Sir Adam, that's right. And a number of birthdays coming up. So thank you all very much. You see how important these $5 a month donations are, and it was nice to see Brian top that up with did he do the 5115? Is that what he got in on? I think so. 5115. I think so. Yeah.
Right. One of the special, the May Day donation.
Highly appreciated. This is what keeps us going. This is why we can even have these conversations, because you are not the product. We're making a product with you and present it to you twice weekly. And your financial donations absolutely make it all work. And remember, we do have a show coming up on Thursday.
Dvorak.org/NA. It's a birthday.
And we say happy birthday to Andy Bird, who turns 41 tomorrow. John Porter will be turning, we don't know how old he is. John Porter will be celebrating on the 5th. Sir Kelly Spongberg says happy birthday to Dame Andrea Garner. Scott Lawler celebrating on May 5th. Eric the Shill says happy birthday to his smoking hot wife, Dee. I guess she's celebrating tomorrow. And Sir Dean Bertram, the Baron, he says happy birthday to Dina, turning 11 years old today. Happy birthday from all your friends here at the best podcast in the universe. All right, Sir Herb Lamb becomes a baronet today, and we will put that in the credits as expected. And then we have our soul knighting today, but what a whopper we've got. So let's bring out the big blaze for Adam Kowalewski.
The big one.
Again, sizest. Adam Kowalewski, thank you very much for your very generous contribution to the best podcast in the universe. Your 2K14 plus your pie donation gives you the title of Sir Adam. We have for you, sir, Brent Boys and Chardonnay, Hookers and Blow, malted barley and hops, root beer and Legos, whiskey and wet wipes, Cuban cigars and single malt scotch, opium and warm orange juice, hot pants and booze, wenches and beer, vodka, vanilla bong hits and bourbon, sparkling cider and escorts, and mutton and mead. And please send us a photo when you receive the ring. Go to noagendanation.com/rings, and Eric the Show will get it out to you ASAP. This is I think it's the first time, I believe, that size of a donation.
No, I think I have to look into it, but Foley, at the end of last year...
Oh, he may have done something big there.
Gave a big donation. It may have been more, it's around the same. Mm-hmm. May have been more, may have been 3.
Put us in your will, people.
That's what the public broadcasters are getting.
I love it when they do that.
All these crazy ideas.
If you die, give it to us. Let me give the jobs and the karma that everyone else requested.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
Vote
You've got karma.
Amen. Shakalaka.
Oh, and a boom shakalaka. Did I forget that one?
Yeah.
Hold on.
This is a little girl one. That's the best one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's... let me do this one.
Bingo, boom, boom, shakalaka, boom, 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 shakalaka, boom, boom.
And then here's the little girl one we like so much.
Boom, shakalaka, boom, shakalaka.
I haven't heard that one in a while. Nice.
Come on, that's great.
Nick's kid is right on, as always. Nice. I wanted to... I spent a lot of time on this... This Boeing versus Airbus thing.
Yeah, one of our major themes.
Yes, there's a lot going on, and I'm trying to put it all into perspective. First, and this will flow into several incidents we've seen with aircraft, and this long interview with this pilot. Who has some thoughts on it, which I've tried to I really am going to have to tell you the story and play like one little bit from him, because he's one of these guys that they talk and it's, 10 minutes later, like, okay, I get it, but it's not really appropriate for people to listen to and understand what the hell he's saying. We had a number of problems. The first one, which I believe was immediately covered up with a distraction, is the Boeing 787 Dreamliners having a potentially catastrophic, actually a software bug in their generators, which is treated by the technology press as very, jiggle the handle, reboot the plane, ha ha ha. But it's really quite serious.
It's true.
It's a very serious issue.
Jiggle the handle.
Everyone's laughing. Oh, that's so funny. Now we know that there is a glitch. There is an ongoing feud we've identified many times between Airbus Industries and Boeing. And it's not really just about planes. It's about all kinds of planes and who has the best crap to sell to the military industrial complex. That's really what it is about. And so having the Dreamliners have already had several issues with their batteries, and now a directive that actually grounded the fleet for a minute there.
Oh, the plane was late to production. It was outsourced all over the place. It was a disaster. Ran way over. It was a debacle.
Not only that, but it's made of plastic, which is not my favorite. I'm a...
you don't like a plastic plane that's glued together.
I don't like it. And yes, I know it's carbon fiber. Please don't email me.
The Tesla car is glued together.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too. Anyway, so this then very quickly we have this big problem with the Dreamliners pretty much pushed down to the bottom of the stack of the news cycle with this news about Germany, the BND, the German spy apparatus, working on behalf of the Americans, i.e. Boeing, and spying on Airbus, which is something we have said from day one about the whole Snowden stuff. It's all about industrial espionage. And we're recruiting the Germans into it, which is very funny considering Angela Merkel went, "Oh, you're spying on me, America. How can you do this?" But it's so obvious to me that the news media is just using this as a distraction and playing it off just so we can, have more, I don't know, jokes about it or whatever. But do not focus on the problem over here with the actual broken plastic plane from Boeing. Let's bring in the biggest clown we have about this spying. And CNN gave the scoop with the CEO of Airbus Industries, to Richard Quest. Meaning they don't give a shit about this news. Richard Quest is a clown, and he's funny when he does. He knows so little about aviation, and here he is with his little intro as he gets ready to talk to the CEO of Airbus Industries.
Airbus has launched a criminal complaint following complaints that the United States has been spying on the company with the help of the German government. As a major aerospace and defense company, Airbus has said it's not surprised it may be the target of espionage efforts.
All right. Now, before we get to his interview, or a piece of his interview with Airbus Industries CEO, here's France 24 with a report on what they believe has happened.
But this Thursday, Germany was the one accused of spying and lying to its allies. This German daily reported that the BND Foreign Intelligence Agency had spied on the French Foreign Ministry and on the French presidential palace, not for its own interests, but on behalf of the American NSA. Earlier this week, Germany was already accused of spying on European companies, also for the US. According to Bild newspaper, Angela Merkel's office had been aware of the economic espionage since 2008, but did nothing to stop or denounce it. European Commission Chief Jean-Claude Juncker urged German authorities to investigate. His own institution was one of those that the German spies had been snooping on.
So
talking about your spaghetti.
It's fantastic. Here we go.
It's fantastic. And the irony, of course, is Juncker is also the name of a famous
German aircraft.
German aircraft, yeah.
From World War II. Also, the spying would have occurred under the leadership of Schäuble, which makes it even crazier. The Schäuble guy, I mean, he was running. I think, was he in charge of, or the BND Secret Service fell under him during these years when I guess he was Federal Minister of the Interior. And this guy, I mean, he's in Gazprom, you know, he's everywhere. This is a kingpin, this man. And now listen to the CEO of Airbus, who I believe is just playing along with the game. At least that's how it sounds. And he's allowing himself to be interviewed by the serious journalist Richard Quest. Reminder: Washington Square Park, arrested, 3:30 in the morning. A rope around his neck, attached to his testicles, a dildo in his boot, and meth in his pocket. That's the Richard Quest we all have come to love.
I mean, we have had now almost a week of media reports, and there's always been one company that has been mentioned in all this, and that is us. We have heard nothing from the German government so far, so there are plenty of questions also from partners, from customers, from our own managers. And let me put it that way, it appears to be a reasonable suspicion of alleged industrial espionage. And this is why we filed an application for investigation with the German prosecutor. We are asking for the normal thing, for clarification and for investigation.
I mean, the rumor is it's the Germans spying on behalf of the Americans. Is that your understanding?
I don't want to speculate about that. Right. It's a very specific story, obviously, but nobody knows right now what the truth is. So I will be very cautious. But we thought, after all this reporting and no clarification, that it's time to file that application for investigation, and then we look forward to find out what happened, really.
And last question on this to you, Tom. When you had to do this, and obviously the decision to do this went all the way up to yourself, were you angry? Were you frustrated? Were you annoyed? What were you that this had come up and you had to do it?
Well, I'd say...
that is an interesting way of him putting it. Do what, exactly? To complain, or... who told him? Why did he have to
play that part again?
To me, that sounds a little...
angry? Were you...
Well, I'll play it back just a little more. And remember, this is a powerful CEO, and he's talking to Richard Quest. Come on. How about Pooper or Brolf?
All the way up to yourself. Were you angry? Were you frustrated? Were you annoyed? What were you that this had come up and you had to do it?
Had to do it. I think we're all playing together on this one.
Well, I'd say a little bit of all of it, Richard. Yeah, as I said, I mean,
why is he laughing? What is so funny?
I don't know.
Had now press reports in Germany, in Europe, elsewhere for almost a week, and always one name came up. It's the name of Airbus or the former name of EADS, and hence it's time to find out what's going on. If there's so much smoke, I guess there must be some fire somewhere.
Okay. Just because there's smoke, he's filing for whatever. I believe it to be a distraction from a number of things. And I'm not sure exactly how it all fits together, but to have these two companies out there in the news at the same time is interesting. Now, along with this, I wanted to run this down. This is the explanation of the German Wings 95-25 crash in the French Alps. So there's an hour and 15-minute long interview by some German guys. They interview this retired U.S. Air Force captain, Field McConnell, and he is over in Europe. And the only thing he's really interested in is clearing the name of this pilot, of the first officer, Andreas Lubitz. So that is his motivation, his mission. He feels that this young pilot, low-hour pilot, has been vilified, has been blamed for something that this guy believes he didn't do and that he could not do. What's
his motivation?
Whose motivation?
The guy trying to clear the pilot's name.
Just to clear the pilot's name. He says a fellow pilot.
Just for that.
That's what he says in the interview. Yes.
Philanthropic. Okay.
He says this is bullshit. This guy didn't do it, and it's not okay. And he defends pilots.
Fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So he and I encourage you to watch this. It's long-winded, but he does eventually come out with all these points. And this is as reported by the officials. The first officer, Andreas Lubitz, set the autopilot to descend to 90 feet. I think we all agree on that. Then we have the ADS-B ADSD-B data. This is the data that we looked at that is received free to air. Hackers all over, I can't believe I said that. People all over the world are getting these little SD software-defined radio USB plugins for like $20, and then you can receive this and you can translate this data. And we talked about that a day or two after the incident. So the data says, which is also agreed to by the officials, that the aircraft increased to a speed of 400 knots with a between 3,000 and 4,000 feet per minute descent. This is what is interesting. When you change your flight director, which is really the autopilot, and you say, I want to go to 90 feet, what happens then is the aircraft says, okay, you want to go, and I'm going to say, what are the parameters of the aircraft? What can I do? I'm probably going to start descent, and the speed is going to be retarded. It's going to be pulled back. So you're probably going to be doing about 230 to 250 knots at this type of descent rate. However, the reports are saying that he, the co-pilot, accelerated the aircraft to 400 knots. Couple things that's problematic with this. One is they did not report on how he did that. So if he literally did, if he changed the speed in the flight director, which he would be overriding the aircraft's common sense and going into parameters that it would have to be that several button clicks and changes. None of that was mentioned, so we're going to have to assume he did not do it. But what they report is that he then accelerated and pushed this aircraft to this 400 knots speed. Once you're below 10,000 feet, where you're never allowed to fly over 250 knots, it is, I will say, impossible for any pilot to keep that aircraft, certainly a low-hour pilot. He had, I think, 500 or 600 hours on type. There's no way he could have controlled the aircraft with the glide path it had at that speed. You can't hand fly that. The autopilot was not programmed to do it, okay? But still, this thing flew in a...
You said okay.
Yes. In a perfect direct line down towards what eventually would have been very near to or into a power plant. And it was not hand-flown because it's just impossible for any pilot to fly that straight of a path down at that speed. the only way that can happen is if the plane was being controlled by a computer, which is very normal for autopilot, and this guy brings in a device that was installed on Lufthansa aircraft that is a real device and exists for both Boeing and Airbus aircraft.
That in 1996, Lufthansa bought some brand new 747-400s, and when the airplanes were delivered to Germany, the German techniques crawled into the E&E compartment, electronic equipment, and they found some components they hadn't ordered. And they made an issue of this with Boeing. They said, we found this component, and we don't know what it is, but we did not order it. Can you tell us what it is?
Oh, interesting.
Have you heard this before?
No.
Oh, you can. Don't trust me. If you Google 1996, Lufthansa, Boeing uninterruptible autopilot, the German technician said, we didn't order this. What is it? And I'm making this simple or paraphrasing just so people can communicate most efficiently. But Boeing would have said, well, that's an uninterruptible autopilot, and it's a safety feature, to which the Germans would say, how is it a safety feature? And they would have said, if someone tries to hijack your aircraft, this Boeing uninterruptible autopilot can take control of the aircraft and guide it to a safe landing at any of 108 air bases around the world. So that's remote control. It is remote control, but it's beneficial remote control because it's for the favor. Uninterruptible. It's uninterruptible.
So it means no captain could take control of it during the flight.
No co-pilot, no human, and no hijacker. No one.
So the uninterruptible autopilot is apparently a real device and certainly has existed. There's still patents and plenty of information about them being around. There's really a lot of information about this. And that would be a reasonable explanation for the trajectory and the speed and the true and straight flight nature of this crash, that it was done by a remote control through this uninterruptible autopilot. Furthermore, this would explain why the crash site doesn't feel right. And this is I don't have any proof of this, but the way it is explained in this very long interview is the aircraft was on a descent on a glide path towards a power station. 3 Mirages were called out, and they wound up shooting the plane down. And that, of course, we heard about the Mirages early on, and then that all went away. We didn't hear anything about that. And he has another explanation how pilots are incapacitated through an air injection system, which can also be manipulated. I know it sounds kooky, but I do agree with the evidence presented that there's no way the claims that are made fit. So if they're going to say this guy hand flew it or he manipulated the aircraft manually to that speed, to that altitude, that is just the data doesn't show that he did that. And the pre-programmed flight director autopilot would not accept the 400 knot speed below 10,000 feet and would retard automatically. So if this guy was out or not breathing or unconscious, this was done by a computer. The question is, who controlled it?
They're bringing in this new piece of information, which also, since Boeing invented this device.
Honeywell and Boeing, yeah.
What year? And the device what was the year 1996, he said?
96, yeah.
It makes you wonder what was going on with the hijackers during 9/11.
Well, now you get into Project Able Danger, and you get into a whole bunch of conspiratorial.
There was a lot of conspiracy folks that have discussed remote control regarding these planes.
This guy, by the way, is a long-time Airbus pilot, so he does know a lot about it, as well as retired military.
Well, we need we need further details, and I mean, obviously, if you're going to put something like this device in a plane as an anti-hijacking measure, you would not broadcast its existence. In fact, now I think that it'll be out of the cat will be out of the bag. They have to come up with some other scheme.
And what this guy says is Captain Field McConnell. He says there's a pattern, and this being repeated. And he says you can see how it goes. And he says it's the same for MH17. MH370, whatever, the one that's disappeared, we still haven't found. Remember, the uninterruptible autopilot is pre-programmed. It can be remotely controlled, but it is pre-programmed to fly to any of, I think, 110 bases around the world automatically and land. And all of this is totally possible, feasible, and being done today.
Yeah,
just not necessarily do we know if it's being taken over by remote control. And if that is true,
boy, it's the makings of a great novel.
yeah.
That's a good one.
But I encourage you to watch the guy. But as I said, it took me hours to just figure out what he was talking about. And then when I went back and looked at all the official information that has been given to us, which really includes nothing. We have a cockpit voice recorder, which is real, but we've never heard anything of it. Only a few people have heard. Then we have some video that magically, an SD card, a little memory card was found among this wreckage, yet we can't find the memory card, which is not really a memory card, that popped out of the flight data recorder, so we don't have that. There's too many messy parameters here. And the mirages, what were they doing?
Well, the question remains, why was this plane brought down? Who was in there that needed to be...
So the part I don't like about this is the so-called trajectory that it would hit a power plant. I don't know if it was nuclear power. France has a lot of them there in the Alps. They have a big array of nuclear power plants, a generation. That to me is like maybe, but maybe it's just, hey, we can't kill this guy. What flight is he on? We'll take care of him. But I don't know. But yes,
it's okay. We can keep looking into it.
Yeah, but it does lead into a lot of questions. Specifically, you can look at that Operation Able Danger, which is based on the premise that the 9/11 hijacked planes were remote controlled. But I just wanted to stick with this for a moment and see. We have lots of aviators in our audience. Let's see if we got any grease monkeys who want to talk about stuff, little boxes that maybe
we did get a lot of stuff so far, like the warning signals were never heard, supposedly when the inside the guy's banging on the door, and
right.
There's a lot of we never did it as one special show, but I think we accumulated quite a bit of information. And if you combined it with the other one, the shoot down outside of Ukraine,
yes.
You have it, and then you've got your third one, which is that missing plane that disappeared off the face of the earth. It's getting pretty interesting.
Keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, I'm flying Southwest.
Yeah, they got Boeings.
No, it's not that I'm worried about the. It's just they don't seem to be targets of it. Why would they be a target? Well, they could be.
But it's much bigger. It's Airbus and Boeing and. There's some big shenanigans going on that were only ancillary. We're just on the sidelines of understanding what's going on there.
Yeah, well, at least we're poking around. As long as you don't poke too much. All right, so this is kind of bothersome to me because these used to be a big deal. World's fairs. Throughout history, it was like you'd want to go to one because I've been to 3. In my life. And
which ones? I've been to none.
Oh, I was in the one in Spokane, Washington. I was in the one in Seattle, Washington, where the Space Needle was. Still is.
Right. Yeah.
And I went to the Taehan one in Korea. Where they had it. I have a great photo of one of the it says they have all these different lines you have to go to get in, and one of them says handicapped and foreigners.
What's the difference?
Something very funny about that at the time. We all pointed at it and laughed. Well, now there's another, and then there was one in Singapore or Shanghai. It was like a year ago or a year and a half ago, and I wanted to go to that one, but it wasn't. It was just I couldn't manage it, and nobody cares about these things. And now there's one going on, just opened. And I play the clip, What Global Fair?
In Italy, serious clashes between protesters and police have overshadowed the opening of the Milan Expo. Now, coming after the 2010 Expo in Shanghai, the global culture and technology fair is expecting millions of visitors over the next 6 months.
Criticism has dogged the build-up to the Milan Expo, but Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi was bullish as he opened it on Thursday. He's hoping it'll help dispel years of economic decline in his country.
Skeptics said it wouldn't be ready in time, but Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi came to declare Expo 2015 open and hailed the global trade fair.
Okay.
Well, so I was stunned by this thing taking place. There's like 80 pavilions. Every country's got some representation one way or another. Of course, they call it a trade fair when it's really a World's Fair.
Yeah, wouldn't this fit perfectly into the whole TPP thing that's going on right now to call it a trade fair?
Maybe. Mm-hmm. That's not a bad idea. That's a good thought. But then you play what global fair to, and then we wrap, and I don't know really what more to say, except this is like information that was like, what? I didn't know this.
Just go to our website, dw.de/refugees.
And that's where you can find many more in-depth reports, as well as a host of statistics and also the personal stories, just like that one.
A host of statistics, apparently.
I don't know why I didn't cut that out.
That's all right.
Of people seeking refuge here in Europe.
Some 80 pavilions await visitors to the Milan Expo. Many of them hope to inspire debate. Is it possible to feed the planet sustainably, protect the environment, and meet the world's growing energy needs? But not everyone in Milan thinks hosting the expensive mega event is a good idea. In the center of the city, peaceful protests against the expo descended into scuffles. Police used water cannon to disperse the crowd. But demonstrators stuck to their message. They say the event is simply a front for corporate interests.
Shut up, slave!
Yeah, of course it is. It's the
That's
T-tip.
kind of what it is.
It would be the T-tip.
The problem with these things, at least I haven't been to them, so I don't know. I think the last one I had in the United States was in Nashville or someplace. And long since the grounds were abandoned. I can't remember exactly. But in the olden days, back in the 1800s, when they had when these things were a big event, people would try to go to them. They always had an amusement park attached to them that was uniquely interesting. And the one in Korea definitely had a fantastic amusement park with all kinds of really great steel coasters. And they had a lecture from this guy who came over. He did a virtual reality ride where you sat in a little phony thing, and then they showed movies around you, and it jerked around and went up and down and made you think you were going somewhere.
Sounds lame.
No, you ever been in one of these things? They're not lame at all.
Oh,
they're absolutely fascinating because the illusion that you're actually going on you're in a jet or you're going down a roller coaster or something like that is very convincing.
Of course, into the screen. I get it, yeah.
And they're not lame at all. And this one was in 3D, and it was actually frightening. And the guy said he had two extra axes that were useful to him. There's like 9 of these. The thing can go up, it can go down, it can lean forward, it can go to the side, it can tilt, and go forward and backwards. Which is once you get your initial
it's a bit like a flight simulator.
Yeah, like a real, like the real flight simulators that are the whoppers, the big ones. The one at NASA's got one that's huge, and it's got all kinds of stuff, make you sick. Anyway, I don't know why we've just been completely cut out of the picture when it comes to these things. They're kind of exciting. But the American public, they don't give a crap about it, and I guess the news media doesn't.
Hello, Bruce Jenner's a woman. Who has time for all that? Please.
I don't know, it just bothers me because I've been to, like I said, 3 of them. Yeah. And it's just, they're great.
Well, we should go to this. We should go to Milan. We should go to
I'd love to go to Milan. I've never been to Milan.
It's nice.
If we have any listeners in Milan, let us know what we should do.
Willow lives in Florence, and she has infrastructure there. She can help us.
Maybe.
Quick wrap up of a few things. The A10. The Warthog has another year of life. They've just extended it, just punted that one, kicked the can down the road, but the A-10 Warthog will remain in service for another year. This is good. Infantrymen everywhere and women are extremely happy with this news. That means they have more chance of staying alive versus the implementation of the Barbie jet. And then we have Boko Haram has released 200 of the girls, but we haven't seen the release or anything, so just throwing numbers out there, I guess.
Good number.
Good number, because there were 300 girls, I think.
Or 420.
Yeah, that would be an even better number. So they're now released. That is all good, going swimmingly. And the Ebola thing, Ebola, it's a little complicated because it kind of died off. And we do have the permanent force there now. We've got all of our military in place there in West Africa. But we need to, I think, scare the population there into a little more submission. Let's first play your favorite Ebola clip. Ebola. 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 From Africa. Diarrhea. We have, this is, who put this out? This is the CDC, the official CDC.gov website. Possible sexual transmission of Ebola virus in Liberia. Yeah, listen. 30 days after the most recent confirmed Ebola virus disease patient in Liberia was isolated, Ebola was laboratory confirmed in a woman in Monrovia. The investigation identified only one epidemiologic link to Ebola, that is, unprotected vaginal intercourse with a survivor. Published reports from previous outbreaks have demonstrated Ebola survivors can continue to harbor virus in immunologically privileged sites for a period of time after convalescence. Does that mean you got boned? Ebola virus has been isolated from semen as long as 82 days after symptom onset, and viral RNA has been detected in semen up to 101 days after symptom onset. Meaning you're a loaded gun, pal. One instance of possible sexual transmission of Ebola has been reported, although the accompanying evidence was inconclusive. In addition to possible sexual transmission of the Marburg virus, a filovirus related to Ebola was documented in 1968. What they're saying now is that even if you don't have Ebola, you can carry the virus in your body and can be expelled through intercourse. 101 days, and women can hold this in their bodies for possibly 60 days. But it's really one of the most frightening things. Is okay. So what do we do now? We can't have sex. How long have you been around? Has it been more than 100 days? Either way, it's going to affect the population of Liberia for sure. But also, I think we could put some fear into people's hearts here.
Oh yeah, that's the idea.
Hey, you don't want to mess with that guy. Oh, well, there it is. Don't have sex with black.
There you go.
Right on cue. Good work, everybody. Fine douchebags over there at CDC.
The only good phone's a landline, and the phone should be made out of Bakelite.
That's right, everybody. Time for tech news here on the best podcast in the universe. I have a couple of items. Do you have anything for tech news, John?
Well, let me see what I got here.
I will start with my item. I would like to report the bug in the iPhone autocorrect system. If I type a sentence and the sentence is correct, but my finger slipped and there's an errant S in the sentence, which is clearly supposed to be an A, why doesn't the phone see this and correct it? It corrects a lot of things.
Now, let's go back on this. Okay. I heard what you said, but I want to hear it again.
If I type on the iPhone, John is a nice guy, but the A, my finger slips over one notch and it's an S.
What's an S?
Instead of the A, I said John is S guy instead of John is a nice guy.
John S nice guy.
Yes.
Or John is S nice guy.
And this happens a lot because of fingers are.
And it doesn't correct it to A.
No. It corrects all kinds of other. It goes back and corrects grammatical errors.
I have with Word.
Huh.
I'm actually I've done it once. I've done a kind of a small version of a column bitching about this.
Yeah.
Because it happens all the time. There's situations you can see it and you say, oh, wait a minute, this is the wrong word. And the grammar checker on Word won't see it. It's just, it's fine. In fact, you could write, I've done this. I don't have it in front of me, but I've done it. I've written the ludicrous nonsense. And it looks good. It's just ridiculous.
But I'm okay with a lot of things not being corrected.
And by the way, these products are now in the cloud. I mean, Office 360. It should be grinding away on the big machines looking at
data.
This.
Big data should be helping us out.
Big data should be doing it, yeah.
The iPhone iOS 8, I guess, it has, beside the typical spelling correction, it has a different, like, blue underline, and you tap on the word, and it will suggest grammatical changes. But it also does this on the fly, except for this one thing, and it's irksome to me. All right, that's my start of tech news. What you got?
I got nothing. I got no tech news.
Well, then I just want to say one other thing. For everybody who is out there posting the video and talking about it, the Tesla Powerwall is a joke. And everyone's buying into this and losing their crap over it.
They love Musk.
He's so awesome, a battery on the wall. But go do the numbers. Yes, it is a cheap battery compared to lead acid or anything else on the market. $10,000 versus $3,500. Although really, if you want to power a medium-sized home, you're going to be putting 3 of these together. There's an OAD-DA converter. The numbers don't work out. It's very expensive, and if you, to charge this type of battery, 10 kilowatt hour or the 7 kilowatt hour, you need 500 square feet of solar panels.
Can I make a prediction?
Yeah, please.
This will end in disaster.
It will, and I think I know what's going on.
Because of fires.
Oh wow!
These batteries
burn
are
the house down. Yeah, they're not.
These batteries are not safe. In fact, the batteries that you have, lithium-ion batteries, a lot of people don't realize this, but by law, they can only be made in AA size. So when you see a big lithium-ion battery pack, if you busted it open, inside
is fire, just angry flames inside?
No, well, you could get, that would probably happen. But inside, you'd find AA batteries.
A whole bunch of AA's?
Well, they package them now, so they're not like, it's not like a battery you can actually use, but they're all the same size. They're the size of a AA. They're usually black, and they're kind of encased in a way that you don't know that they're just AA, but they're AA's.
Right. I think
it's totally illegal to bring most of that stuff on an airplane.
Correct. But you certainly have to declare it has to be certain dimensions. And this is what was catching fire in the 787 Dreamliner. I think what is happening here is that Elon Musk is realizing that his battery play, being the battery company of the future, he doesn't have enough customers with cars to sell all this stuff that he's creating. So he has to find some alternative markets to make at least the numbers look good.
Well, I'm sure there's some government angle involved. He's getting some
absolutely.
Some government. He's really good at that. That's his real genius. By the way, I want to just to keep people from sending me notes, because I know there's some AA or there's some lithium ion that is not in the form of AA. It's usually smaller.
Right.
Not everything is AA, but that's the biggest you can make them.
So I just want to say that people, certainly in technology, you can do these numbers. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out that this is not a saving grace. This is not. You can't take your home off the grid with this. What are you going to power it with? The only thing that you can kind of say would make a little sense, but even those numbers don't work out, is if you can charge the battery during off-peak hour at night or during the day when everyone's working, and then use the power you stored in the battery when prices are higher. But still, we're looking at 8 times the cost of buying.
It's not 100% conversion.
No, it's 92% efficient. If that's what you're talking about. That is the statistic of the battery. 92% efficiency.
So your electricity had to be at least 10% over the normal nighttime price.
It's not. You wind up paying 4 to 8 times as much with this battery. But okay, I guess you save the world of something, unless you can power them by the sun. But the amount of panels you need is just huge.
It should work out fine for the small number of people in the world who live out in the middle of nowhere, off the grid.
I would appreciate it if the so-called technology programs and writers and even the New York Times, I mean, you guys are pathetic. Pathetic. Oh, Elon Musk, saving the world. I love him. Oh, Elon. I'm glad it's masturbation month. You're pathetic. It's not all that great.
Well, he's making a mega factory, which has got to be some other interesting government angle to that. That factory, I'll put in my prediction too, is going to burn to the ground. Yeah.
iPhone, schmyphone.
I hope so. Burn to the ground, everybody.
Now I got my one last clip.
All right. Well, why don't I do last story, then you do the clip. We'll go out with a clip.
Okay.
I don't have a clip. We have discussed in great detail, Brian, our gay crusader, has created a white paper. I should probably put another link in the show notes to it so you can see this, about the farce of Russia and, of course, Putin being homophobic, trying to just kill gays, get rid of gays, hates dogs too. And as we dissected the actual language of the legislation, the conclusion was this was, if anything, this legislation is meant to soak Hollywood because they have gay themes in popular culture, media and television, etc., and films. And these would just be penalties that would be thrown at Hollywood. That was pretty much our conclusion, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
So here we go. 2 days ago, Russian politicians labeled U2's album as gay propaganda. But this is where it gets interesting. You recall that the U2 Songs of Innocence was pushed automatically by Apple onto everyone's phone and iPod.
Right.
So they are going after Apple for distributing gay propaganda.
Nice.
By releasing... How many millions of people in Russia was that? Because they got iPhones and iPads.
Of course.
The gay propaganda has been pushed through. This is fantastic. Particularly with Tom Collins there, Pete Cook at the helm. And this is exactly what the legislation was created for.
Yeah, to soak companies. So they're not in the EU, so they can't just pull Google in and say, you owe us $2 billion.
I love it. That was my favorite moment. Favorite moment to get that report.
All right.
Rock us out, Johnny boy.
Now I got maybe a theme for today's show is confusion and obfuscation and non sequiturs. So Bernie Sanders came out, and I don't know what he says, but he apparently announced himself for presidency. WTF Bernie Sanders.
Back in this country, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is now officially in the race for the Democratic presidential nomination in 2016. The 73-year-old Sanders pledged today to fight for income equality, tax code overhauls, and campaign finance reform. He spoke outside the U.S. Capitol.
If you raise the issues that are on the hearts and minds of the American people, if you try to put together a movement which says we have got to stand together as a people and say that this capital, this beautiful capital, our country belonged to all of us and not the billionaire class, that's not raising an issue. That is winning elections. That's where the American people are.
What?
I don't know what he said. What did
he say?
I have no idea what Bernie Sanders just said right there. Oh, man.
Well, that's Bernie Sanders. Good luck.
All right. I declare this program at the end. Man, 3 hours. We didn't hit our sweet spot of 3:30.
3:30? Trying to kill us.
Yeah.
The sweet spot is 2:45.
I'm in agreement right there. I'm in agreement. All righty. Are you on the Twitch show today?
No. I'll be on next week, and I believe I'll be on with Jolie Odell.
Woo! Well, now you're talking.
So that'll be amusing.
I like her.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's getting back on. Jason Calacanis is being invited back on. There's hope.
Oh, you mean that you might get invited back on?
Yeah, probably not.
I think you can get more mileage out of not getting invited.
Seems that way. All right. Everybody, thank you very much for checking us out today on the podcast, on the live stream. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. All of your help is appreciated. Coming to you from FEMA Region 6 here in the capital of the Drone Star State, Austin, Texas, downtown, the Crackpot Condo in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I am, yes, indeed, inundated with ants. I will fix the problem shortly. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We'll be back on Thursday right here on No Agenda.
Young Turks killed millions of Armenians.
他不太
太了解这个情形。
Hands clapping, thumbs up.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
You're saying yeah, while you're saying no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, you know.
Yeah, no.
I don't know why you're saying yeah while saying no.
Yeah, no.
You know, you know.
Yeah, no.
I don't know why you're saying yeah while saying no.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
I'm Joe Biden, and thank you for taking the time to listen.
If you wake up with the blues, trying to fill your day with news, there's one thing you must remember: no agenda in the morning. For a healthy, balanced news diet, try noagendashow.com.
Adios, mofo.
The best podcast in the universe.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Amen. Fist bump.